The Brewers with the bases loaded and 2 out in the bottom of the 7th. California clinging to a 3-2 lead.
American League showdown. East meets West for a pennant. Say halo to the Eastern champion Milwaukee Brewers and the hometown Western champion California Angels. Harvey Keene's Wallbangers trying to outsock Gene Mock's Hot Rocks. And in both games in Anaheim, the Wallbangers took a California creamin'. It looked like Halo World Series for the Angels. The 18th postseason homer for Reggie Jackson. For dangerous Don Baylor, a championship series record-tying 5 RBIs in the first game, won by the Angels 8-3, and 10 RBIs altogether. Profitable numbers for the lowest paid Angel in the starting lineup. And from Fred Lynn, a barrage of hits. 5 for 8 in the first 2 games and 11 base hits overall to tie the championship series record. And there was also some vintage Lynn in center field. In fact, all the Angels looked sound and seasoned in their opening victories. The Brew Crew was off on the wrong foot, except for Bigfoot, reliever Pete Ladd, who took a big step forward for Milwaukee's Raleigh fingerless bullpen. Ladd struck out the side in 1 inning, and all 3 were former MVPs. A better-known Brewer lad, Paul Molitor, got his own footloose opportunity thanks to Fred Lynn. Good golly, Mr. Molly, a 2-run inside the Parker. Still, Milwaukee needed more, but couldn't get it. Tommy John allowed 3 runs in 3 innings of the opener, but then settled down with 6 shutout innings, giving him a 4-0 record in championship series play. Even more in season, Bruce Kison, who won 4-2 in the second game to also make him 4-0, and 32-8 in September and October. And that was that, a 2-game jump for the Angels. And so, as the series resumed for Game 3 in Milwaukee, a chance for the Brewers to truly test their colors, since no team has ever recovered from 2 games down to win. Don Sutton, who saved the division title, saved the Brewers from getting swept with a gritty 3rd-game win. Suddenly, momentum was swinging Milwaukee's way. Moose Haas, who hadn't started in a month, followed with 5 1/3 innings of no-hit ball. The rain started, the no-hitter stopped, but nothing could dampen the true blue cheer of the back-on-track Brew Crew bats. Tommy John, moved up a day early in Gene Mock's rotation, was rather out of control in the 4th game, and at times so were the Angels. A 3-run, 2-error single, but there were surprise gifts for both sides. Do not interfere for a souvenir, so say the rules, but in Game 3, it was home run California, or so said the umpire, Interference, said the Brewers, who still won despite their own fans. Milwaukee also won the next game, despite Don Baylor, who smashed an 8th-inning grand slam to reduce the Brewer lead to 7-5 and throw a scare into Brewtown. But thanks to Mark Brohard, Milwaukee's diehards soon breathed a little easier. A 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th that made the score 9-5. 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs in the game for Brohard, who hadn't played in 4 weeks. And to top it off, a tumbling catch to end the game. So some unlikely heroes helped make Milwaukee manage with the series tied and 1 game to go.
ABC Sports presents Game 5 of the 1982 American League Championship Series. From County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the California Angels and the Milwaukee Brewers. Game 4 played on a day of rain. But the Milwaukee Brewers right-hander Moose Haas pitched brilliantly in a game delayed almost 2 hours by rain and interrupted twice. And then Mark Brohard stepped out of the shadows, hit a 2-run home run to lock a 9-5 win for Milwaukee and even the series at 2-2. And today in Game 5, Harvey Keene and Gene Mauch will manage their teams for the American League pennant of 1982. And as we come to this final game, the 5th game in this championship series, live from County Stadium in Milwaukee, let's bring you up to date, recapping what has happened in the first 2 games. They opened in Anaheim, and the Angels won both, 8-3 and 4-2. Moving to Milwaukee, the Brewers responded, winning 5-3 and 9-5. And thus we go to this 5th game with all the money, marbles, and chalk in plain view on the table. I'm Keith Jackson. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's endurance grind, not only for us, but for the ball players. But all of them have come seemingly fresh to the ballpark and ready to put it all out there today for what could be and will be the final game for one team and a ticket to the World Series for the other. The starting pitcher's a rematch from Game 2. Bruce Kison won it 4-2. He starts for California, right-hander. The losing pitcher in Game 2, Pete Vuckovich, he will start for Milwaukee. And both of them express confidence, and both say they feel all right despite some minor injuries. The National League playoffs will be seen at 8 tonight Eastern Time here on ABC. Last night they played Game 2 at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and right now let's join Jim Lampley for a report on Game 2.
The weather finally cooperated in Busch Stadium, allowing the Cardinals and the Braves to play Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Atlanta starting ace knuckleballer Phil Niekro with only 2 days rest, a decision that cost the Braves a run in the first inning when one of the flutter balls got away from Bruce Benedict, allowing Ken Oberkfell to score from third base, 1-0 St. Louis. The Braves regained the lead in the 3rd inning off rookie pitcher John Stupper. Rafael Ramirez single home Benedict from second base, and when another rookie, Willie McGee, let the ball get by him in center field, Ramirez scooted all the way around to score, Atlanta taking a 2-1 lead. Atlanta still led 3-2 in the 8th inning with bullpen ace Gene Garber on to protect the lead. But Willie McGee chopped the ball high off the carpet. Ramirez had time to make a tag on George Hendrick, but no time to get Darrell Porter from third base, and it was 3-3 after 8. St. Louis rallied again in the 9th. After David Green's single and Tommy Herr's sacrifice bunt, Ken Oberkfell hit this fly ball over the head of Brett Butler in center field. It was Oberkfell's 7th career hit in 11 at-bats against Garber. Green scored easily with the winning run. 4-3 Cardinals. They lead the series 2-0. The series moves to Atlanta for Game 3 tonight, and a St. Louis victory would mean the World Series for the Cardinals for the first time in 14 years.
The weather today in Milwaukee, it has been dry so far. However, there are threatening skies on the horizon. We'll talk with Earl Weaver, Jim Palmer in a moment. Now Earl Weaver and Jim Palmer. And gentlemen, Skipper, a week ago, you, on this very hour, preparing for a very big ball game for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm sure that the tension and the moment that you went through a week ago is similar to what Gene Mauch and Harvey Keene are going through right now.
I'm sure it's about the same. You try to avoid the word pressure or tension in the dugouts, but I never minded admitting to people that I was nervous, and I really didn't get a lot of sleep last weekend. I talked to Gene Mock this morning, and he said he got 6 good hours, and it reminded me of last Saturday after we had won our ball game and were going to come back the next day. I went home and I fell asleep about 10 o'clock, and I got 6 good hours sleep, but I was up at 4, and there was no way I could get the thoughts of the game out of my mind, and I was up from 4 o'clock on. I waited for the daylight to come, and I got out to the ballpark as early as I can, because when you get out there, there's things to do that will take your mind off of it.
Well, Jim Palmer, a week ago this hour, you were preparing to go out and pitch that big ball game for Baltimore. What about the fellows Vuckovich and Kison? What must they be going through now?
Well, I'm sure that they're feeling the nervousness that goes along with every start you ever have. I think maybe the only game I don't get nervous for is a game in spring training. They don't really mean a lot other than getting in shape, but whether you're pitching in Cleveland or you're pitching a playoff game like today, you just don't know what's going to happen. So you go out there hoping that you have your good stuff. If you have any kind of injuries, and Kison, of course, has a blister on his middle finger that might affect him, and Vuckovich has had a tired, sore arm that's required a couple of cortisone shots, you're wondering how you're going to be throwing. And the key to this series has been the pitching performances. In the first 2 games for the Angels, Kison and John pitched very well, and they won. In the last 2 games, Sutton and Moose Haas pitched very well for the Brewers, and they won. So they know that their job is to stay away from the big inning, go out there and do the best they can, and hopefully they'll be on today. And you just never know when you go out and take up your warm-up pitches how you're going to pitch once you get in the ballgame.
There is a question for the Milwaukee Brewers. There is a prime worry for the Milwaukee Brewers because the man who shared the home run championship with Reggie Jackson, 39, Gorman Thomas, is hurt. Hurt his knee yesterday. Earlier I talked to him. Gorman, how bad is the knee?
I got about 20 minutes sleep last night. It really locked up on me pretty good. And I was a one-legged man coming to the ballpark this morning, but I've had a lot of treatment on it, and I'm going to try to play, and we'll see what happens.
How did it happen?
To play yesterday, I was indecisive. I thought the ball would beat me there a little sooner than it did, and then I saw the ball short hop Boone. So I changed my thinking. Rather than trying to bury him, I was going to try to beat the tag. And as a result, I ended up sliding half on my knees, half on my shins, and half on his mask, half on his batting helmet, and everything else. So it hurt like the devil, but today's another day, and we'll see what happens.
You got too much bulldog in you. I can't imagine not having you out there in center field and not having your bat in the lineup.
Well, my bat's been kind of silent. There's no question about that. I really don't have any alibis for it. I got a phone call this morning from Mike Schmidt, and we talked things over for a bit, and we're going to try his philosophy today. And we've come back from the dead. We're still in the corner, but that's how we play the best, and I'm looking for big things from us today.
Can you tell me what you and Mike discussed?
No, because I talked to Weaver in California, and I think I got 1 hit out there. But what it really boiled down to was to be a little more aggressive and try not to get in a situation where you have to hit with 2 strikes all the time.
Good luck, Gorman.
Thanks.
What was it you told him?
Well, today I told him let the outside pitch alone, but if he thinks that I gave his book away to the California Angels, he's wrong. I wouldn't tell anybody down there how to pitch anyone.
I think every superstition known to man in baseball is probably respected today, and every good luck omen has been polished. Now with County Stadium in Milwaukee filled for this final game of the 1982 American League season, let's join the public address announcer Bob Betts for the introduction of the players.
Now here are the starting lineups for today's game between your Milwaukee Brewers and the California Angels. First, the starting lineup for the Western Division champion, California Angels. Manager, Gene Mock. Leading off and playing left field, number 5, Brian Downing. Batting second and playing first base, number 29, Rod Carew. Batting third and playing right field, number 44, Reggie Jackson. Batting fourth and playing center field, number 19, Fred Lynn.
Fred Lynn, who roams center field so well, who swings the bat so well when the pressure is on. Remember this rainbow home run from game one. He's the hottest hitter in this series.
Batting fifth and designated hitter, number 25, Don Baylor.
And Don Baylor, the designated hitter, who has set a new league championship series mark with 10 runs batted in, including this grand slam home run yesterday.
Batting sixth and playing third base, number 11, Doug DeCinces. Batting seventh and playing second base, number 4, Bobby Grich. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 10, Tim Foley. Batting ninth and catching, number 8, Bob Boone. Pitching for California in the bullpen, number 24, Bruce Kison. And now the remainder of the California Angels. And now the starting lineup for your Eastern Division champion, Milwaukee Brewers. Manager, Harvey King. Leading off and playing third base, number 4, Paul Molitor.
Paul Molitor, who leads off for the Milwaukee Brewers and is so productive in the leadoff spot, has hit a 2-run home run in this series in Game 3, in the running for the MVP.
Batting second and playing shortstop, number 19, Robin Young. Batting third and playing first base, number 15, Cecil Cooper. Batting fourth and catching, number 23, Ted Simmons. Batting fifth and playing left field, number 24, Ben Vuckovich. Batting sixth and playing center field, number 20, Gorman
Thomas, hobbled by a sore knee, but in game number 1 flashed his power with this long home run off Tommy John. Remember, he hit 39 in the regular season.
Batting seventh and designated hitter, number 7, Don Money. Batting eighth and playing right field, number 22, Charlie Moore. Batting ninth and playing second base, number 17, Jim Gepner. Pitching for the Brewers and in the bullpen, number 50, Pete Vuckovich. And now the remainder of the Eastern Division champion Milwaukee Brewers.
It isn't too hard to figure out where you are listening to that crowd, is it? They're up in Milwaukee for Game 5. The 1982 American League Championship Series from County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The California Angels and the Milwaukee Brewers in the showdown game for the American League pennant. Brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to take charge of a new Chevrolet car or truck at your Chevrolet dealers now. And by light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. Now we're ready for the ceremonial first pitch of this ball game. Ken Keltner, third baseman for Cleveland. will be throwing it out. Remember, Kenny, he's the man who made 2 diving, scratching stops in a ball game to snap Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak back in 1941. Ted Simmons gives him back the baseball to take home with him, and we are ready to play baseball in this championship game. The Milwaukee Brewers defense will have Cecil Cooper at first base, Jim Gantner at second, Robin Yount at short, Paul Molitor at third. In the outer perimeter, it's been Vuckovich back in left field with some bruised ribs. In center field, it is Gorman Thomas, fine defensive center fielder. He is hobbled. His knee is very sore. He may not be able to play the whole ball game. We'll have to see. In right field, it is Charlie Moore. Back of the plate, Ted Simmons. And the pitcher, Pete Vuckovich.
Well, Pete, 18-6 on the year. He was 3-0 until last Wednesday night against the Angels this year. And he's basically a sinker ball pitcher, has a forkball and a slider. And he's the type of the guy that does not get in front of the hitters very often. And the other night he got hurt on a lot of belt high pitches. We're just going to have to see. This is his second start this season with only 3 days rest. In his other start, won 7 innings, gave up 10 hits, and ended up losing 3-2.
The first pitch of the ball game to Brian Downing is outside for ball 1. The only comment I would make about Pete Vuckovich, Jim Palmer, is he is a competitor.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's been 32-10 for the Brewers over the last 2 years. Had some good years with the Cardinals in St. Louis after coming over from Toronto, and he battles you, moves the ball around. His theory on pitching is very simple. He doesn't want to throw any 2 pitches in a row to any hitter the same speed. So you'll see a lot of off-speed sliders, hard sliders, and the sinking fastball, which was that pitch you saw right there.
The count now on Brian Downing, 1 ball and 2 strikes. In yesterday's ball game, Downing, chasing a foul ball, ran into the tarp roller, which lies against the wall down the left field line. He banged his right knee. It is swollen, it is sore, it is wrapped. And that's all he had to say about it. And that shot down the right side is going to drop in the corner and go to the wall. Downing turns first base. He's going for 2, and he'll make it standing. Downing leads off with a double.
A manager is anxious to see what his pitcher is going to show him in the first inning, because a lot of times it's going to dictate the type of ball game that you're going to manage.
And here you see it's a pretty good pitch, outer half, down. Brian Downing, who's hit very well, 281 on the year, can hit the ball to left as well as right field. Goes right down the right field line, and the ball blows away from Charlie Moore, who makes a nice play, hold him to a double.
So the Angels' leadoff man is on second base, and the batter is Rod Carew, with Molitor stepping in on the grass at third to take away as much of the bunt as possible. Let's see if Gene Mark tries to move him up. Pitch is high and away for ball 1. Earl, what do you think? Earl Weaver, would you move him over? Try to get that run on the board?
I myself would let Rodney hit here. I'd let him try to pull the ball if I could. I think they'll be going for some big runs, because you don't know what your pitcher's actually going to have during the ball game, and you don't know if 1 run will make it or you need more.
Well, it didn't work because Ben Vuckovich, drifting to the line, makes the catch in left field, and Downing is not able to move over.
They still have 2 big men coming up in Reggie Jackson and Fred Lynn, so they've got a shot.
Well, they've got a shot, but I hate to argue this early into the game, but boy, I'll tell you what, if I'm the California pitcher, I like to see that 1 run on the board, and if they can, of course, I know your theory is to put 2 or 3 runs up there, but it's nice to get that early lead.
I think you'd like 2 or 3 better than 1.
Jackson stands in. Reggie 2 for 15. 1 home run. And Vuckovich is high to him for ball 1. The wind blowing toward left. A fly ball hit down the left field line is going to get a lot of help. Right field, you're going to have to hit it.
They were flying out of here pretty good in batting practice again, but these are the type of hitters that can make the ball get out in a hurry. I talked to Reggie during batting practice, and I said, "This is your kind of day, isn't it, Reg?" And he said, "Well, it's supposed to be." So we'll have to wait and see what he does.
Vuckovich starts him outside, then goes inside, and he's behind. 2 balls and no strikes.
And this is similar to the situation when he hit the home run off Pete the other night. He got behind in the count, threw him a high fastball. I think one of the reasons Reggie's had so much difficulty in this series, the 2 for 15, as you said, He struck out 6 times, and 5 of those times they've gotten ahead with either the count 0-2 or 1-2. So they've been getting ahead of him, and he hasn't been hitting the pitches they've been giving him to hit.
Shoots it right to the third baseman. Molitor goes to second, hits the base runner. The ball rolls out into the outfield, and it was a bad play by Paul. He should not have thrown the ball that way because Gantner was nowhere near the bag. There was no one to throw it to. But Molitor, who's learning to play third base, just reflexively trying for the double play.
Those are the type of things that happen in the big ball game. You're right, Keith. He had no chance. The ball hit the runner in the back, and now he's at third base where he can score on a passed ball or an infield error.
Molitor will get an error on advancing Brian Downing over to third, and the batter now is Fred Lynn. Here's another look at the play. As you see the ball rolling out, Jimmy Gantner getting back to it as quickly as possible. But Downing moved quickly over to third. And he edges off the bag as Fred Lynn steps in. You can see he is 8 for 14 in the championship series this year.
Well, Freddie's swinging the bat awfully well. He hit a curveball in L.A. for a home run. Yesterday, the curveball to break up a no-hitter. And I'd be very careful with him here. The only problem, of course, is that you have Don Baylor, who has 10 RBIs in the series, right behind him. And that's what makes it so tough to pitch against both of these lineups. If you pitch around one guy, and again, Freddie Lynn with 8 hits, you have Don Baylor to answer for. And if you look out there, if you're on the mound and you're looking at that wind, not too good a wind for the pitchers today.
Vuckovich moving the ball around against Lynn has missed the strike zone now, and he's behind 3 balls and no strikes.
And I think you'll get the green light here if it's a pitch that he can hit.
Breaking pitch, changing speed on it a little bit, into a strike. 3-1.
He changed speeds on 3-0, so he was thinking right along with us up here.
Well, this goes out to the game back on Wednesday night. Gene Mauch let a couple hitters swing away 3-0, and
that's a base hit down the line. Left field scores Downing from third. Ogilvie bobbles the ball, and Lynn keeps right on hustling to second base. Angels break on top 1-0.
Well, anybody can say they're not nervous if they want to, but I'll tell you one thing. In a ball game like this, you almost have to be.
Here you see Freddie Lynn just going with the pitch. Vuckovich got a fastball away, and he just poked it to left field. And when Freddie Lynn's hot, I've seen him do that many times.
The Milwaukee Brewers have committed 2 errors here in the top of the first inning. Ogilvie charged with an error in allowing Lynn to go to second base. And Vuckovich gets a strike on his first pitch to Big Don Baylor. 10 RBIs for the big Texan. It is low. Lynn on second base with a single to left to knock in a run, and then move to second when Ogilvie bobbled the ball. You would think that Lynn and Baylor are both probables in the MVP voting, too. Beats it foul, bounces up in the air. It's a fair ball. It's a fair ball, and Simmons throws him out. Don looked at it and then realized it was that far out in front of him, it probably was going to be fair. Took off Simmons, caught it on the first hop, and threw him out. But California exercising opportunity as the Brewers commit 2 errors. They had a double and they had a single, and they take the lead in the top of the first inning, 1-0. For the Milwaukee Brewers, it'll be Molitor, Yount, and Cooper to lead off the bottom of the first.
Bottom of the 9th, tie score. 1 on, 1 out. 1 hit, and it's 2 straight for St. Louis. 1 more to clinch tonight on ABC.
The defense for California, as we have seen it before. Rod Carew at first base with Bobby Grich at second base, and the shortstop is Tim Foley. At third base, Doug DeCinces, nose not quite as sore after having broken it on Friday. Brian Downing will be in left field, and we'll see how mobile he is out there with a sore knee. Freddie Lynn in center, and over in right field, it is Reggie Jackson. Behind the plate, Bob Boone will do the catching, and on the mound, Bruce Kison warming up.
Well, Bruce Kison, what a marvelous game he pitched on Wednesday. 9 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 2 earned runs. One of them maybe been averted by the fact that Freddie Lynn dove for a ball, and the ball went for the inside the park home run. 8 strikeouts. Again, doing something today that he's kind of unfamiliar with, which is pitching on 3 days rest, even though lifetime, and he has not done it since 1979, lifetime he's 10-1 with an earned run average under 2.5 runs a game, pitching with 3 days rest. And I think the only reason it's that high, the earned run average, is the fact that he gave up 7 runs in one of those ball games. I think his only loss. So I think the big question today is, number one, will he be able to pitch as well as he did the other night, where he had great command of his pitches, got his breaking ball over when he needed to. He threw his fastball, as Earl Weaver said, up and away, and also in on some of the hitters. And I think the toughest thing about Bruce Kison, and Bob Boone has said this, he gives you so many different angles, because he throws 3/4, and then he also drops down and throws sidearm. And the hitters have a lot of different areas to look from where the ball is coming.
Of the 5 hits he allowed in game number 2, 3 of them were infield singles, and he was ahead, particularly through the first 6 innings, of virtually every hitter.
I don't think 3 days rest is going to bother Kison, because he's done a considerable amount of relief work, and probably has been used on back-to-back days out of the bullpen in his life.
Now he will pitch to Paul Molitor, who is 4 for 16 with 2 runs batted in, with 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. And Molitor takes ball 1 from Kison. It is a soreness around the fingernail, the index finger, that is a bother to him more than a blister. And it's something that he has been troubled by throughout his major league career.
Well, a lot of times you put a lot of pressure on both your forefinger and your middle finger. And remember a playoff game I pitched where I think I struck out 12 batters in 1973, and the back of my middle finger, the nail underneath, the skin underneath the nail, turned black and blue, just trying to maybe overthrow.
Molitor hits it to left field, base hit. And it drops in there like an 8-iron, and Molitor's going to second base, and he's in there.
Little hustle. He started running from the minute he hit that ball as hard as he could, and if he had not, he would not have been able to take that extra base.
And here you see some of the effects of the rain yesterday and the wind blowing out. And here you see the ball. It's kind of hooked into left field. Downing, because of the wind to left field, is playing a little bit deeper. He hustles on the ball, maybe a little bit slower because of his knee. Molitor is going for the double all the way and into second base easily.
So the Brewers respond as Molitor stands at second base with a leg double, and Robin Yount steps in.
Be interesting to see if Robin Yount will try to go to right field to get him over to third base here, or if Harvey thinks that he would prefer the big inning himself.
Robin has not knocked in a run so far in the series. He does go to the right side, and it's foul in the seats.
Robin's one of the fellas that can do that as well as anybody in the American League. And in our last series, every time we threw him a good pitch on the outside half of the plate, it looked like it went for a base hit into right field.
Well, he's hit 14 balls, and all of them have been in the alleys or up the middle in this series. And a lot of people wonder why Robin Yount could have 46 doubles and 12 triples, mainly because he hits the ball in the gaps. He's the type of guy that hits the ball up the middle, and he's strong enough to hit 29 home runs, too.
Sounds a little like the most valuable player to me.
Well, I think that the reason that they yell MVP here, obviously when you hit over 300, you get over 200 hits, you hit 29 home runs, you lead the league in doubles, have 12 triples, and you probably, or you might most likely win a Golden Glove at shortstop. They consider you for the most valuable player award.
And the ability to move the runners over, hit and run.
1 ball and 1 strike on Robin Yount. Kison checks the runner, and Yount hits it sharply to Grich. Grich wanted to go to third, decided against it, threw to Carew at first. The runner moves over with 1 out.
The ball was hit hard, and I'd like the fans to realize just how tough a play that is. The good play that Bobby Grich made. On a short hop, you'll see it hit right at his feet. He had thoughts of going to third. It was hit so hard, but if he'd have thrown it, it would have been a silly play.
Cecil Cooper now with an opportunity to get the Brewers even. The tying run in this first inning is over at third. Molitor, good speed. Cooper at the plate, 2 for 16.
And they're going to play the infield back. A wise decision as the pitcher you don't want to have that big inning. And if you play the infield in and they get a single, then you have Simmons coming up, another man in scoring position at first base. So give them that run now and stay away from the big inning and hope that your bats will come alive.
Especially since you have one on the board already.
Bruce came out of Pasco, Washington, started his major league career, and it's cued slowly to DeCinso at third. He chases the runner back, and they just get Cooper at first base. Nope. Did he change his mind?
Dropped the ball.
Dropped the ball.
The umpire had him called out already, and Cooper was going to argue the play. If we can see it again, you'll see Cooper jump up. Cooper did not know that the first baseman had dropped the ball. And a wise base running play by Paul Molitor at third base caused that to happen. He gave Doug a fake as if he was going, Doug DeCinso a fake as if he were going to go home. Doug had to stop. Watch him. He gives him a fake. Doug had to stop. He had to stop him, and it caused a bad throw to first base.
It's an error on DeCinso on the Cooper play at first base. The throw was in the dirt. So we've had 3 errors in the ball game already. 2 by Milwaukee and now 1 by California. And Simmons hits the ball to right. Jackson over, gloves it, and Molitor tags, and he's coming. And it's cut off by Carew. And we're even at 1. Cooper holding at first base.
Reggie showed a strong arm, but it was just hit too deep to have a chance to throw a man out at home plate. Reggie hit the cutoff man perfectly, though.
Simmons wasted no time. He liked what he saw on the first pitch and nailed it.
Well, the ball was hit hard, Keith, and it doesn't seem that Kison is throwing as well as he was in California. The ball doesn't seem to be sinking. As most sinker ballers, as we saw in Tommy John yesterday, you want to try to get him early in the ball game, and we're just going to have to wait and see if he starts making a little bit better pitches.
I'll agree with you. I don't right now think he's throwing as well as he did in California, but he might be trying to establish his pitches too, Jim.
Then Ogilvy, left-hander to the plate, 1 for 11. Foul.
They've had some pretty good cuts up to this point. And there have been some balls hit hard already.
Well, that'll happen in the first inning. As a starting pitcher or any pitcher, I think the first inning is the most difficult one you're going to have in many cases, mainly because you don't know the mound. The mound here in Milwaukee does not slope as well as the one out in California, and it just takes a while to get accustomed, see what pitch is working for you.
What about the difference in bullpen mounds compared to the mounds you're going to pitch on in the game?
Well, they all differ. Perfect example, the one up in the Kingdome in Seattle looks like a ski slope. When you warm up and you get out on the regular mound, it's much flatter, so you have to adjust. And that's one thing that a starting pitcher has to do, and even a relief pitcher. In fact, a relief pitcher has even less time, because he's usually coming in a situation where the ball game's on the line.
1 ball and 1 strike count to Ogilvy. Sharply struck. Carew, look what I found, grab at first base, steps on the bag to retire to side. Well, this first inning opens up like we are going to have some fun this afternoon in the American League Championship game of 1982. After 1, it's tied at 1-1. It's a little shaky in the picture, but that's a look at downtown Milwaukee with Lake Michigan out there in the background, and we pull back that picture coming from atop County Stadium way back out here, and now you see the helicopter flying around up there battling the elements, and the elements are decreasing in quality, I should say, as they tell us another storm is on the way. Don Denkinger back at the plate calling the balls and strikes. Al Clark at first base, Larry Barnett second, Bill Kunkel third. Left field line, Rich Garcia, Steve Palermo right field line. This is the 3rd big ball game in recent years for Don Denkinger. He was behind the plate last Sunday in the Baltimore-Milwaukee showdown. He was also back at the plate in that playoff game between the Yankees and the Red Sox in '78. And DeCinso bunts it perfectly for a base hit on the first pitch. Doug DeCinso had the third baseman Molitor well back of the bag at third, and he just lays it down.
And taking advantage of Molitor playing deep, maybe this is an advantage of a 5-game series. The groin pull that Doug had in the first game and the second game has seemed to have gotten a lot better.
Batter now is Bobby Grich, as DeCinces has tied a league championship series record, as you see reflected there. And Grich squares to bunt, and it's up high. Molitor in on the grass at third base now. It's Grich showed bunt on the first pitch. And Vuckovich lobs it over to first base. Tim Foley is on deck. This is the portion of the batting order that Gene Mauch uses for what he calls little ball, moving runners around, and it's been productive for him all season long. Play and catch at first base to hold DeCinces as close as possible. Not listed as a speed man, but he reads pitchers well and has better than average speed. Grich again squaring to bunt, and the pitch is up high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike.
We've now moved into a pretty good hit and run situation. Vuckovich is going to have to come into Bobby Grich. DeCinces showed us that he's feeling a lot better, and Doug can steal some bases.
DeCinces goes. The pitch outside. The throw. They get him. Simmons put it right where it had to be to get him.
A perfect throw, and evidently it was more of the run and hit rather than the hit and run. Because if it was a hit and run, Bobby was supposed to help him out and try to get the bat on the ball. Bobby took a high fastball. I think it was a fastball. And Simmons put the ball right there. Anything else, and DeCinces would have been safe.
Well, 1 out now. The bases are clean, and Grich with a swinging strike. Run the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And again, you saw Vuckovich coming back 3-1 with a slider. He does not mind pitching with 3 balls on the hitter. He does it almost all the time. In 223 innings, he walked 102 batters this year. So I think a total of maybe 300 and some runners in 223 innings, and yet he still had a fantastic year, 18-6.
Well, that's why you win 18 games. If you can get a breaking ball over when you're behind, you're going to be a successful pitcher.
The big guy from Western Pennsylvania.
Jim, do you think he looks a little more rustic than the other games that we've watched?
Strikes out Grich.
And Pete's in a hurry to get off the mound. He thought that was strike 3. I wonder if we could, if we had a camera on the pitcher right after Bobby Grich swung at that pitch.
He'll be pitching now to Tim Foley with 2 down. Timmy 2 for 13. A little high. That's good. 1-1. This is one of those games where if plan A isn't working for you, see you later. There is no time for plan B. There's another strike on the outside corner. 1-2. Over the top, missed with it. 2-2. 3-2. So 2 successive hitters. He's gone to 3-2.
It's the same thing Jim's been talking about. He makes his best pitches when he's behind.
Foley throws the bat at the ball, strikes out on a breaking pitch, and he is gone. California gets the leadoff man aboard, gets him thrown out after 1.5, a 1-1 game. Gorman Thomas comes to the plate, and this will be a very interesting moment in this ball game to see just how he performs at the plate, just how much that very, very sore knee is going to affect his work at the plate.
It didn't seem to bother the batting practice swing. Of course, a little bit different once the game starts. It is his right knee. It's interesting, in the interview, he said he talked to Mike Schmidt, and they kind of have contrasting styles. Gorman's kind of a little bit up on the plate trying to pull the ball, and there you see a good fastball by Kison on the outside part of the plate, yet Gorman always seems to be a pull hitter that's trying to jerk the ball. I mean, it's a good day for him to be hitting today because of the wind blowing in the left field seats.
Check swing, roller, second baseman Grich limping to first base, thrown out. The limp is very, very obvious.
Running like that, I just don't know how he's going to be able to get to fly balls in the outfield.
The break from the plate, very slow. You see him dragging the leg. So tuck that away. It may become a factor. Here's Don Money, the designated hitter.
And this is, I think, the first lineup surprise we've had all series. Normally, Roy Howell would be playing against the right-handed Bruce Kison. Of course, the home run stats of Don Money, 16 and 275 times at bat, and Roy only hit 4 and 300. So with the wind blowing out and being a pull hitter, maybe he's going with Don Money because he's number one, probably had more experience in big games, and also as a pull hitter with the wind aiding his swing today.
He's done well against right-handed pitchers. 1 ball and 1 strike. Inside corner.
Jim, I don't know if you'll believe this or not, but I have had the wind influence me when I've made up lineups, and especially in Fenway Park.
One-two pitch to Money. Got him. So Kison gave him some good pitches. One he didn't like very much, and strikes him out.
And here you see the sidearm breaking ball. Don, not much of a swing. Definitely fooled on that pitch. Quality pitch.
Charlie Moore, right fielder, number 8 man in the order. 5 for 10 in the series. Nothing big, but pesky.
That's the type of hitter he is. It seems like the pitchers have settled down. We've had 3 strikeouts out of the last 5 men that went to the bat.
Moore hits it up in the air to the right side, carrying out in short right field area where Reggie Jackson and Fred Lynn bump together, and Fred Lynn makes the catch cutting in front of Reggie. And once again, we had players bump together. We had a ball fall yesterday in the infield as Milwaukee messed it up. They get away with this one, and we're 1-1 at the end of 2 innings.
This really shouldn't happen. Ball players running into each other. Bobby Grich is standing there in the circle calling one of the 2 of the players. I don't know who he's calling, but with the crowd noise, they just can't hear him sometimes. And they're lucky that they got the out on the play.
Also lucky they didn't bang hard enough to hurt one another. Bob Boone leads off for California in the top of the 3rd inning with Brian Downing and Rod Carew to follow. Vuckovich delivers, and he shoots it up the middle into the left center field area where Gorman Thomas hobbles over and picks it up. And Bob Boone's aboard with a single.
And it kind of continues the pattern that Vuckovich has had with Bob Boone. He hit the ball hard on Wednesday night 3 times, and they were all fastballs in the middle of the plate. He just threw him another one, and he hit the ball hard into center field, or at least into left center.
And for the 3rd successive inning, the California Angels have the leadoff man aboard. Downing coming to the plate now, doubled to lead the ball game, and came around to score California's run. We're even at 1-1. Squares to bunt, puts it down. On the first base side, Cooper. And Cooper throwing to Kentner as Boone scampers on down to second base and stands there. So with 1 out, here is Carew. And Vuckovich delivers to Carew. Inside, ball 1. He's outside with a pitch and goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Changes speed. It's low. 3 balls and no strikes to Carew. Walks him. First walk issued by Vuckovich. Now here's Reggie. With runners on 1st and 2nd. 1 out.
This is Reggie's situation. He certainly loves to hit.
Well, I found it interesting that the first time up, Molitor made a great play of his line drive. He was going to left field. Vuckovich pitched him away, and Reggie was content going with that way. And I think the reason is that in batting practice, hit innumerable balls out in left center field today. He knows that he can hit the ball to left and hit some home runs. And he drives the ball awfully well that way.
Foul ball, just barely down the right side as Cooper made a dive for it.
Vuckovich might have the same feeling. He went in with him that time, Jim. Reggie can hit the ball over the left field fence as well as any left-handed hitter in the league, and he's getting a little bit of help with the wind blowing out that way today.
Foul at the plate. Edge Vuckovich now 1-2 with the score tied at 1 here in the top of the third inning. The ball bounce up off Reggie's knee as he fouled it away at the plate.
I don't think that pitch was where Vuckovich wanted it, really. It wasn't in or it wasn't out.
It was just a high breaking ball in the middle of the plate, but the speed fooled Reggie, and he just got a little bit on top of it. And there you can see Simmons moving in.
Threw him a homer up high and got him.
Well, it was right where Simmons moved, and I think after you see so many breaking balls and he pops the ball high in the strike zone, and Reggie being a much better low ball hitter, unless you do that, get the ball out over the plate. And here you see the high fastball. Reggie just can't quite get to it. Swings right through it.
And with 2 out now and 2 on in a 1-1 ball game, Fred Lynn coming to the plate. Good for a strike. Fred Lynn single his first time up. Moved up to second when Ogilvie bobbled the ball, and he expired there.
I think an interesting thing on Fred Lynn, Earl, is that they are pitching him contrary to the way we pitch him. We've had a lot of success going in on him, and they've been staying away, and you can see the stats. 9 for 15 are not been very successful doing that.
Well, it took us 3 years to find out that the best place was under his hands, and if you have any success, I think that's where we found we had the most. But Fred don't have a lot of holes at home plate, and there's just not many places to throw the ball that he can't hit it.
A 2-strike pitch to Fred Lynn. Reaches out, slaps it into left field for a base hit. Bob Boone comes around third. Ogilvie overruns the ball, and the California Angels go back on top 2-1. Lynn continues with his hot bat.
It looks like an off-speed pitch away. He kind of gets fooled. He's out on his front foot. He just pokes it in the left field, and again they went away with him with a breaking ball, and he got another base hit.
And Ben Ogilvie has his second error as he overruns the ball. Baylor swings on a little foul tip that Simmons catches for strike 1.
The conditions will have a little bit to do with that. They're trying to get into the ball. It's not rolling all the way out to him like it would do if the ground were dry, and they're running right past it.
I really think he thought he might have a play at home plate with the speed of Bob Boone, and discharged and wasn't able to come up with it.
Baylor takes it high for 1 ball and 1 strike. Rod Carew moving around to third base as Ogilvie overran the ball. Don Baylor at the plate with Fred Lynn out there at second. And the 1-1 pitch is hit high in the air to the left side. Robin Yount going back, the wind taking it back, and he makes the catch for the third out. So Vuckovich is able to get Baylor, but California gets 1 run and takes the lead 2-1 in the middle of the third. That picture from a helicopter carrying one of our ABC cameras up above County Stadium in Milwaukee, and gives you not only a perspective of the area and the ballpark, but I think also gives you some idea of how brisk the wind is blowing. Just a few hundred feet up in the air, and it's pretty brisk down here too, as Old Glory is just stretched flat out behind the left field wall. Yep. We will move now to the bottom half of the third inning with Milwaukee, and Jim Gantner will lead off, to be followed by Molitor and Yount. Gantner broke through yesterday for his first base hits of the championship series. Got 2, and they were productive. Matter of fact, the bottom of this Milwaukee lineup yesterday was very productive. Brohard, Moore, and Gantner accounted for 5 runs and went 6 for 10.
I was really impressed how much confidence Gene Mauch had in Bruce Kison. It might have something to do with the fact he's 31-7 in September and October, but he had perfect confidence that Bruce Kison will do whatever it takes to win today.
Two balls and no strikes. That one was outside and away. Comes from the side. Misses. 3 balls and no strikes to Gantner, leading off the bottom of the third.
It's not Kison's style to pitch from behind, though.
He walks Gantner on 4 pitches. Now the second time around for the top of the order, Molitor and Yount, and Cooper with Gantner on first base. Tries to bunt it.
It was not a sacrifice. He was going for a base hit on that. He didn't square around at all. He dropped the bat. He didn't want to give away the fact that he was bunting.
And he's a good one. There is along the lines, both at first base and third base, it sloped fairly sharply.
Yes, it does. And again, I would like to mention that the infield is a little damp, and it slows the ball up.
Swing and a miss by Molitor. He's an aggressive hitter, and he's behind now, 2 strikes.
Now DeSensei can move back at third base.
Gantner creeping off first. Pitch to Molitor. Foul tip, stays alive. 1-2. To the hole, left field, base hit Molitor. Gantner turns at second and stops there. So the Brewers, falling behind 2-1, come battling back now with Gantner at second, Molitor at first for Robin Yount, and an exuberant fan exhorting the crowd to let's make more noise.
Well, we'll see if Harvey Keene is going to move his runners over right now. Doug DeSensei is giving a few bunt signs. Each club in the American League has defenses that you work on in situations like this. Sometimes the third baseman will charge, sometimes the first baseman will charge, and you work on them a lot in spring training. And it's getting harder and harder to get the ball down. But Harvey Keene just decided that he was going to let him swing away on that pitch.
It was high and tight. Harry Warner, the man at third, coaching there, passing on the signs, and Ron Hansen over at first base. And Andy Hassler and Steve Rinko have now begun to move around. In fact, they're now throwing in the California bullpen. Hassler and Rinko. Yount hits it sharply. DeSensei on the bag at third. Over to second. 1, and a good hard slide by Molitor at second base takes Bobby Grich down.
And Harvey gambled. Doug DeSensei made a very good play. It was a hard hit ball down third. He thought He thought very quickly. Once he got it, he got the lead runner. A lot of times the third baseman will go to first on this play, but Doug knew he had time to throw the runner out at second, and now there are no runners in scoring position.
I tell you, they came pretty dadgum close to a triple play. If Molitor doesn't take Rich down at second base, they might have been able to wheel 3.
Yount runs pretty good, but he certainly did get taken out of the play.
Yount on first base on the fielder's choice, and Cecil Cooper stands at the plate. Coop only 2 for 17. Runner goes. He swings, and it's foul. Yount will come back. A 1-strike pitch to Cooper. The runner goes again, and Coop again fouls it away. The 2-strike pitch to Cooper. Yount does not go, and the pitch is outside and low.
Robin Yount is going to run if he gets half a chance. If Kison forgets about him or isn't quick with his delivery to home plate, Yount is going to try to get down in scoring position for Cooper.
Again, this being a situation where even if Yount would be thrown out, you don't mind having a guy that had over 200 hits, 313 on the year, leading off the next inning.
You're going to make a good manager, Jim.
That pitch is outside. It's 2-2.
They can second guess all they want, but if I was managing and I had a guy like Robin Yount up 210 hits on the year, I think I'd let him hit away too. Kison just made a good pitch, got a sinker down and in, and Robin hit it right to the sensei.
And as you well know, Earl Weaver, if you're intimidated by second guessers, you're in the wrong business, right?
That's exactly right.
Swing and a miss, and strikes him out. So Cooper strikes out on a fastball thrown to the outside. And the Milwaukee Brewers are turned away thanks to the double play. California leading 2-1. Full County Stadium in Milwaukee for the championship game of the American League season for '82, and for the California Angels. Here in the top of the 4th inning, it's Doug the Sensei, Bobby Grich, and Tim Foley. DeCinces, a base hit, first time up, and then was thrown out by Ted Simmons. Toward the corner, fair ball. Ricochet by Ogilvy. DeCinces to second, double.
I thought the pitch was up, and we've mentioned this before, but Doug DeCinces is a real good high ball hitter.
And it's the 4th successive inning in which the California Angels have had their leadoff man aboard. Watch it. Just fair. About a foot.
A game of inches, they say.
And now Bobby Grich. Lets him, Grich have a full swing at it. Slayton now, Jim Slayton, right-hander, and left-hander Bob McClure up in the Milwaukee bullpen.
Bobby Grich goes to right field pretty good. He can get the runner over in that manner if there's the sacrifice.
Right down to Cooper, and he tags Grich going by as the Sensei moves over to third.
Grich is going to tell him that Cooper tagged him with
He tagged him with a glove, but he had the ball in his hand, and I don't think Al Clark down at first saw that.
Don Denkinger, the home plate umpire, coming out and declares him safe.
That's what the umpire should do. They should confer and get the play right. That's the most important thing.
Ted Simmons, Jim Gantner, Harvey Keene. Let's have a look at it. I don't know if we can see from this angle exactly which hand he has the ball in. All right, he's got it in he's got the ball in his left hand and tags him with the glove. You're right. I don't believe it. I have never seen it. I have never seen that before. There's the glove on the right hand. The ball clearly is in his left hand. Now Cooper reaches out and tags him with an empty glove. Are you telling me how many times you've seen that, Earl Weaver?
It happened in a World Series. Elrod Hendricks tagged, I forget the runner. Jim, do you remember the runner?
I was pitching, it was Bernie Carbo who tried to come in from third base, but what happened was that
I remember the umpire, Ken Burkhart.
The umpire got in the way, so he didn't have much choice. He tried to reach around him with the glove and the ball. But here, and Bobby Gritch running hard right there, as you'll see. Cecil figures he has a chance to tag him, but as it turns out, Bobby kind of goes out of the baseline, and that causes the problem.
I'm sure that the Brewers are arguing that he was out of the baseline, but contact was made by Cooper and probably helped to effect it. It will go as a sacrifice and an error on the first baseman, Cooper.
Well, Earl knows the ruling, but I would imagine if a base runner goes out of the baseline to avoid the tag, he's automatically out.
He's automatically out. You're allowed 3 feet, and that's what we call it the 45-foot line down the first baseline. And the runner is obligated to run inside of that the last 45 feet from home plate to first base.
Tim Foley at bat now as Vuckovich pitches to him high and away. There's the 45. That's a double line. The 45-foot line coming down.
The runner is obligated to stay in there.
Popped up in the air. Cooper going back. Foul ground. Makes the grab. Runner holds at third. 1 out. Now, the important thing, I think, here is where Gritch was before contact is made by Cooper and where he is when contact is made by Cooper. And I think that's what you ought to try to watch. Now, he's on the line now. Here's Cooper coming across. That's a 45-foot line there. That's a restraining border. Okay, now, Cooper coming across with the empty glove. He's on the line. Contact is made. He is pushed out. That's one argument.
That could be an argument. Yes, I agree with that.
And there are a couple of things we can look for here. In the second game, they squeezed in this situation.
There it is. Past the pitcher. Hard play. Cooper goes to second. Man is safe. Run scores from third. 3-1 California.
And it was a suicide squeeze.
The ball got past Vuckovich. Cooper coming across, being a left-hander, had no play at first base. Here comes DeCinces from third, and the bunt is right past the pitcher's mound, and DeCinces just walks home.
And the reason you'll see Cooper go to second here on this play is that Gantner, even though they did do it in the second game, doesn't anticipate it. I doubt if he could have gotten first in time, and Cooper tried to get the only out he could.
Got a big inning building right now.
Rich at second base. Boone at first base. Top of the order, Brian Downing. And the sky getting very dark. There's another storm coming. Could be. Molitor to second for one. Back to first. Double play. So Vuckovich gets the DP ball as Downing shoots it sharply down to third. Molitor and Gantner turn it. And in the middle of the fourth, it is 3-1 California. Well, after an unusual half inning in this fourth, as California, Cecil Cooper tagged a man without the ball in the glove. California able, however, because of the double play, to score only one time to take a 3-1 lead. Now it's Ted Simmons, Ben Ogilvie, and Gorman Thomas for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Simmons hit a sacrifice fly, his first time up, to knock in Milwaukee's run. California now 7 hits off Vuckovich. The Brewers have only 2 off Bruce Kison.
And they've done a good job on Ted Simmons. Super hitter, and to hold him to 3 singles and 15 times at bat. You're pitching him well.
First baseman Carew does it himself. Then Ogilvie coming to the plate, bruised his ribs 2 days ago. Play at left field. This morning I talked to him. Benji, how badly banged up are you?
Well, I'm not really banged up that much. I think when I ran into the wall, I checked it out with the doctors, and what I'm experiencing right now is just a couple of bruised ribs.
Against Kison, he was tough the first time out. What are you looking for today?
Well, I know he's not going to change his style, and I'm not going to change my style also, and we're just going to go out there and do my best, and I'm going to look fastball, and he mix it up a little with some off-speed pitches and sliders. So I think he's basically going to try to pitch me the same way.
And Kison gets the first pitch in for a strike on Vuckovich. He's been pretty quiet with the bat. Man who hit 34 home runs this year. That ball is well hit to the right side. Reggie Jackson looks at it. It's gone. Home run, Vuckovich.
Looked like an off-speed pitch to me.
Looked like a belt-high changeup in the middle of the plate, and as we've said, Vuckovich moved off the plate. He says he looks fastball, but he hit the breaking ball very well this year if you made a mistake with it. I know he hit a home run off me here in the County Stadium on a high changeup after I got him out with the same pitch. And Bruce just got it, and you'll see right here, throws him off-speed pitch, and it's just kind of belt high in the middle of the plate. And when Vuckovich gets his arms extended and hits the ball solidly, it goes a long way.
And it's a 3-2 ball game. Gorman Thomas now comes to the plate. And we'll get some read here on the composure of Bruce Kison. That's a strike.
That's that low outside breaking ball that that he threw Thomas in the last game. And that pitch is just tough to hit for a right-handed hitter.
Well, especially a guy like Gorman, who's basically a home run hitter. The balls he really hurts you on are the balls in the middle of the plate. And talking about composure, Bruce Kison, I imagine, knows he made a bad pitch, and you know, you expect those pitches to be hit by the good hitters. It's when you throw the good pitches and they hit them, that's when you start worrying. And
count on Thomas, 1 ball and 1 strike.
I can go back to last Sunday. I hit through two pretty good pitches, and he hit both of them, and I got a little bit nervous.
Goes inside with him on that one and gets strike 2.
Here we're in the situation that Gorman said he didn't want to be in, the 1 ball 2 strike situation. If he takes that pitch, which was the ball, he has the advantage.
Strikes him out. His third strikeout for Kison.
His knee is bothering him bad. As he swings, he just looks like he's afraid to put any weight on it at all.
He may have to come out of there.
I really don't think Gorman, this is not the type of game that Gorman comes out of, but I think really what's going to happen is Harvey Keene's going to have to make a decision if he doesn't think that he can do the job. And
especially out in the outfield.
Exactly. It's one of the tougher decisions when you want to take out, I guess the manager has to make, Earl, when you want to take out somebody that has been an integral part of your success all year.
You certainly can't let your heart interfere. We know Gorman wants to play, but is he capable with the bad knee?
2 balls and no strikes now to Don Money, and we have the first rain of the day.
But we're used to it, so
starting to spray. We got used to that yesterday. After 13 hours. Popped up. Third baseman DeCinces. Foul ground. Has it. So Don Money fouls out to Doug DeCinces at the end of the inning. Milwaukee gets a run on Vuckovich's home run. After 4, it's 3-2 California.
Now Kison, the right-hander, delivers. Here's a fly ball, and it's deep to right. And this one is gone. It's a home run for Vuckovich to cut the lead to 3-2.
That's where I'm going next Saturday, down to Charlotte. Bernard Taylor against Eusebio Pedroza out of Panama. Bernard Taylor used to be a cameraman for our affiliate station down in Charlotte when he was an amateur boxer, and now he's a very successful professional career going, challenging for the title. And right now in this challenge for title in the American League, Rod Carew shoots it back to the pitcher. Vuckovich knocks it down and throws him out. Pretty close. Reggie Jackson coming to the plate now. And earlier today, I've had a visit with Reg. Here it is. One more time, Reggie, the heat's on.
Well, Keith, I think that if baseball dreamed up a story ending, that this is the way they'd have every series wrap up. World Series, playoffs, end of the season in Baltimore with Milwaukee, end of the season with us over against Texas, the second to the last game of the year. It just seems funny that you play 166 ball games and come down to one to decide who the better team is. So I guess it really does show you that professional talent is pretty evenly matched.
Reggie is lined out to the third baseman Molitor and struck out swinging in 2 trips today. California leading 3-2, and you can hit a home run to the right side. We saw Ben Ogilvy prove that.
The ball seems to be jumping all over the park. It wasn't batting practice. Wind has quieted down just a little bit.
Went for it. 2-1.
Reggie always goes for it. Very rarely we ever get him to take a swing that doesn't have the potentiality of a home run if he makes contact.
Fouled at the plate, and Vuckovich is even at 2-2.
He's really unloading.
Well, Vuckovich changing speeds a little bit, moving the ball around. Full count, 3-2.
Reggie's got himself in a position at only 2 hits and 17 at bats in the series where he wants to show everybody that he can contribute.
Walked in. Second walk by Vuckovich. And here comes trouble. Fred Lynn. Milwaukee bullpen is active behind Vuckovich. McClure and Slayton up throwing again, and Raleigh Fingers has gone down there. He is not throwing as yet.
And we'll see if they adjust on Fred Lynn. They've pitched him away twice. He's hit 2 singles. And this is a way Reggie can contribute by getting on base for a guy that's really hot behind him.
Fouled away off his foot.
Reggie can still steal a base. In fact, the year that he was with us, he stole 27, I believe it was, in 29 attempts. And Reggie still runs good.
To the hole, base hit, right field. Jackson around second, going to third. The throw by Moore. He's out.
Moore's convinced me he's got a pretty good arm, Jim.
Well, he just convinced everybody because he came charging in. That ball made a perfect throw to Molitor, and he's taken Pete Vuckovich out of a big inning. And there you see the bounding ball. No chance for Cooper. And Charlie Moore, watch this throw. Right on the money.
Oh, I'll say it was on the money.
And that's a catcher playing right field. Of course, he's been out there all season long, and they finally took his name off of the catcher's position on the official American League roster, but not right till the end of the season. As a catcher, I mean to say.
So Milwaukee comes up with a big defensive play. 2 down. Fred Lynn at first base, and the batter is Don Baylor. Lynn now with 11 hits, and that ties the league championship series record held by Chris Chambliss. He set it back in 1976. 11 hits. Boy, that is a hot bat.
Yes, it is.
3-1 count. 2 out, and Lynn off first base. And he hits it to right field. Baylor just sort of cued it off to the end of the bat. Moore comes in, and Fred Lynn stops at second base.
And rightly so, because if he'd attempted to go to third, he would have been out also.
You can see Baylor fighting off a high fastball, and Charlie Moore coming in just like he did on the previous play. Of course, there's no reason to go to third base in this situation. When Reggie tried to go to the third base, you had a 1-out situation, and if you can set up a first and third situation, you can score on a fly ball or attempt a double play or a ground ball to the right side.
Vuckovich gets a strike. The Sensei with a single and a double and has scored a run. 2 strikes. That's the fastball way up.
You think that the Sensei couldn't reach that outside pitch, but he steps right toward the plate with his left foot, and he has the home plate covered well.
Well, as all good home run hitters, he likes to get his arms extended, and 30 on the year. There's a good hard breaking ball that no chance.
The Sensei strikes out to end the inning as Charlie Moore comes in from right field, having made a big play in the ball game, and it's California 3, Milwaukee 2 in the middle of the 5th.
Now Lynn waiting on the 2-2 delivery. Here it comes. He swings and hits a base hit to right field. Jackson turning second, headed for third. Here's the throw by Charlie Moore in the monitor. Jackson is out at third.
Charlie Moore, right fielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, 5 hits and 11 trips to the plate, and 1 big defensive play to throw out Reggie Jackson. Fred Lynn, a bouncing single to right field. Moore charging it all the way. Jackson going around second, and Moore shot him down.
And without that type of throw, they'd now be 2 runs down in place of 1.
Bruce Kison to the mound now for California. The pitch to Moore, Jim Gantner, and Paul Molitor. Vuckovich in the ball game has been touched for 9 base hits. Milwaukee has committed 4 errors behind him, and yet California has scored only 3 runs. And Kison now ready to go as Moore steps in.
If you wind up playing for 1 run, you're more than likely going to get 1 run.
You heard what he said. If you play for 1 run, you're more than likely going to wind up with 1 run.
It sounds like an understatement, but it's really true.
Thanks, Jim.
That's why we always never got 1 run. We always got more than that.
A strike to Moore. And Kison comes right back at him and goes low and away. 1-1. Sidearm, little looper, right to Grich. 1 out. Jim Gantner, plate, change, strike. Balloon.
It was a good pitch, and Gantner couldn't have been looking for it.
Shot, hooks foul. Right side. 2 strikes on Gantner. Gantner has all, and I do mean all, of the right field line. He also has all of right center field, as Lynn is shaded well over toward left center defensively. See the big opening on the right side for Jimmy, and now look over there in right center.
When he first came to the big leagues, he tried to pull the ball a lot more than he does now.
Hits it up in the air to the right side. Now the wind's got it. He's going to take it right almost back to second base for Bobby Grich's catch. 2 down, and Molitor will come up now for Milwaukee.
And this is the way definitely that you want Paul Molitor coming to the plate. 2 outs, nobody on. When he leads off the inning and gets on, it just makes Yount and Cooper and Simmons much better hitters. You had your druthers. This is the way you want them coming up.
Remember, Molitor has home run power. Shot set one foul. Hit 19 during the course of the season. And he is aggressive.
Well, very much so. I think that, of course, you can't complain about a guy that got 201 hits, but as he gets older, he'll probably become a little bit more patient at the plate. And when he gets the count 2-0, 3-1, he'll even hit more home runs.
Fouls it away, and advantage Kison with 2 strikes.
He'll also continue to get stronger.
That's up around the bill of the cap. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The pitch was low and away. All right, Molitor now being a little more patient as Kison tries to get him to bite on a low pitch. Bruce has now gone to 3-2 with Molitor. Sidearms him on 3-2 and walks him. Now it will be Robin Yount. That is the second walk by Kison.
This is a running situation. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Molitor tries to steal the base here.
And Molitor goes. The throw is high, and Molitor has stolen the base.
And had a very good jump. I thought Kison would throw over there once or twice in this situation. It's a running situation, and there's no reason for Molitor not to try to get to second base. He had a very good jump.
Simmons really had no chance at him.
As long as Jim Palmer's been around, in that situation, I try to get up on the edge of the steps, which he hates me to do, and try to remind him that the runner might be running.
And I can't tell you what I'd be telling myself out there. Now, you know that he's going to be running. You just want to get rid of the ball quickly and give your catcher a chance.
Now Robin Yount, with 2 out, will try to bring him home and tie the ball game at 3. Behind now 3-0 with Cecil Cooper in the on-deck circle, a left-handed hitter.
And I think he'll be swinging in this situation if he gets a pitch he likes.
Took it 3-1.
He was taken all the way, too. The take sign had to be on because he didn't make any attempt to go after the ball at all.
It is now 3-2. And he had a downtown swing on that one.
There's been a lot of exciting moments in this ball game already. Pitchers always seem to be in trouble.
Three-two pitch. Ball 4. So Molitor walks, steals second. Yount has now walked.
Pitching on 3 days rest will come into the picture as the game progresses.
Here's Cecil Cooper. Slow law of averages sticking its head into the circumstances here. Cecil Cooper's too good of a hitter to be quiet too long as Hassler and Renko get up for the second time in the California bullpen. There's a strike. Molitor at second. Yount at first. California leading 3-2. Milwaukee hitting in the bottom of the 5th inning.
The way Cecil Cooper stood and took that pitch, he's got something in mind. He's looking for something special right here.
High and away, 1-1. Anxiety, pressure, tension, whatever words you like, it's there.
All of it. Use any one you want.
Oh, he went fishing for an outside pitch.
That's anxiety. And Coop probably isn't as selective as he would be during the ordinary season. He hasn't been in this series up till now.
And there you see something unusual, a right-hander side-arming a left-hander. But the reason that Bruce Kison does this is because his ball runs so well. And it just kind of ran away from Cooper, and he couldn't quite foul it off.
Angel owner Gene Autry sitting right behind him. President and General Manager Buzzy Bavasi. He just stayed here yesterday and just took the rain. He got sopping wet. Bounced right back out here this morning. Cooper fouls it back.
I ducked on that one.
I saw that. Fouls it away. Sensei goes over to the rail to have a look. Wynn gets it and brought it back some, but not enough. The wind swirls around here at County Stadium, and it brought that ball back about 4 rows, but it still fell about 4 rows deep. Sanchez is now up in the California bullpen. Renko has stopped. Sanchez replaced him. Hassler continues.
It'll be a one-on-one situation from here on in. By that I mean the managers will have a special pitcher up for a special hitter, and they'll have to go to everybody in the, or want to go to everybody in the bullpen if they have to.
Struck him out. So Kison gets Cooper, and Milwaukee strands 2. And after 5 complete innings of play, the California Angels lead the Milwaukee Brewers in this championship game 3-2. Back with more after this word from our local stations.
Maybe I wasn't the greatest player of all time, but fans, they forgive and forget. When I go in here, they'll be buying me my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. You, Bob Uecker? Yeah, you know, these fans, I love them. They know us ex-big leaguers drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Well, can't keep the gang waiting. The fans are always joking.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Wow, they're having a good time in there.
The ribbons of concrete that ring County Stadium. Oh, come on. I know it's getting cool, but that's ridiculous. For the California Angels, going to the top of the 6th inning, it's Bobby Grich, Tim Foley, and Bob Boone. Bottom 3rd of the order, and they've been trouble today. Not Grich so much as Boone.
I've never seen Bobby Grich swing through more balls than I've seen him in this series. Just too good a hitter to do that. But then again, you get a lot of guys that are streak hitters, and Bobby's that type of guy. Just don't see the ball as well as they might be seeing in other stretches during the season.
He fussed around a lot this season, his hand location and so forth, and he finally wound up going back to holding his hands right back on that hip.
Well, the year he hit 30 home runs, he had his arms and hands over his head, and was very successful that year.
Molitor knocks it down. Got to hurry. Gets him.
That was a tough hop right there. That's a ball that's very easily booted. You'll see the last short hop right in front of him. It came, well, it bounced to his right a little bit.
Third baseman ought to be entitled to have as big a glove as a first baseman.
It's not a bad rule change.
Tim Foley. And the pitch to Timmy is high, ball 1.
The third baseman is just as close.
Hop up. See how far it carries. Gorman Thomas is pumping in. And you have a small gathering as the catch is made by Robin Yount.
Ordinarily, Gorman would be standing under that ball. That's the way I feel about it.
Yep, he would be. You see that Yount went right to it. Gantler came over to help as well, because they know full well Gorman is playing with a very sore leg. Now Bob Boone, who's been Mr. Trouble today for Pete Vuckovich. It's the ball in the air to right field for Charlie Moore. And so Vuckovich gets California in order in the top of the 6th inning. And in the middle of 6, the Angels lead it 3-2. Luis Sanchez has come on here in the bottom of the 6th inning in relief of Bruce Kison. Kison with a strong 5 innings, leading in the ball game 3-2. Remember, coming into the game, he had a very sore middle finger. And I would imagine that's a problem that has taken him out of the ball game. It's not exactly a blister. It just gets very sore around the nail from the pressure that he applies on the ball. And it just got so sore that he didn't feel he could come out. Sanchez had been warming up in the pen as Bruce had courted danger and probably had told Gene Mauch, perhaps even as long ago as the third inning, that it was getting sore. And once it reached that point, they had a man ready to come in. So this youngster can throw hard. But I would not think that Gene is depending on him to finish the game, because he doesn't have that kind of a history.
Well, he'll go to as many as he has to go to. Last Sunday when we played for the Eastern Division Championship, I had Dennis Martinez, Flanagan, Palmer, everybody I had in the ball game.
Simmons goes to the other side of the plate now to hit left-handed against Sanchez, and Luis has ball one. That's fouled away. 1-1 to Simmons. Ben Ogilvy, who has homered today, will follow, and then Gorman Thomas. That is outside. The book on Kison: 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, walked 3, struck out 3. Three balls and a strike to Simmons.
Well, he throws very hard, but you also have to throw it in the strike zone.
Hits it to left. Brian Downing holds his position and makes the catch. He took about 2 steps. 1 out now for Ben Ogilvy. Has rolled out to the first baseman. Carew actually hit a sharp shot that Rod made a good play on, and Ben has hit a home run. Hit that one to right. Then jumped on that first one, then sort of reached over to that right rib cage that he banged into the wall on Friday, and making the play that wound up as a double for Fred Lynn. Late on that one.
There you see the good fastball. Sanchez kind of evolved as the short man. He was pitching long relief early in the year, and the Angels had trouble all year trying to find somebody that could come in and put out the fire, and Luis did an excellent job down the stretch.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Ogilvy.
It seemed to me early in the year that he was very inconsistent because he threw a lot of breaking balls. He has a hard slider. He just would occasionally make bad pitches with that and get hurt.
That's foul. Coming back to the left side. The sensei gives it a look, and it's well back out of play.
And often a short reliever, if used properly by the manager, can come in and just throw fastballs for an inning or 2.
Usually your short relievers will be 2-pitch pitchers, either a fastball and a hard slider, fastball curve. They don't usually go to all 4 basic pitches.
Ogilvy. Hard swing on what looked like a very low pitch, and got just enough of it to stay alive. Bruce Kison, we're told now, does have a sore finger, but he also informed his manager Gene Mauch that he was just simply getting tired, pitching with 3 days rest.
He got 1 big out, Cecil Cooper, right before he came out of the ball game.
He did. 2-2 now to Ogilvy. Ben's been flailing away. Has not been terribly selective in this at-bat against Sanchez. 2-2. That's foul.
Fouled off a pitch out of the strike zone and swung through one that was way high. He could be on first base with a base on balls.
1 out. Pitch to Ogilvy. Struck him out. 2 down.
Here you see a good running fastball. Ogilvy goes out to get it, just runs a little bit away, and Ogilvy, who's a better low ball hitter, just can't handle a pitch up in the strike zone there. Can't catch up.
He's also showing a little pain, it looks like to me, or that he's feeling pain.
Here's a man we know is feeling pain, Gorman Thomas. Third baseman, DeSensei. In the dirt, but Carew handles it. And Gorman Thomas really hobbling on that sore right leg. Watch him as he makes the move toward first base. Just dragging the leg. Sanchez gets him in order after 6, 3-2 Angels.
You're the umpire as in television presents You Make the Call. Ted Power of the Dodgers delivers and then tries to make the play. But as he does, the ball brushes off his glove and keeps on rolling. Was the ball fair or foul? You make the call.
Here's an easy question for you. Which of these games is the closest thing to the real thing? A, in television NFL football. B, Atari football. Here they are again, close up. A, in television. B, Atari. If you thought A, in television, you're absolutely correct. You see, I told you this question was easy.
On this play, you were right if you called it fair. Once the ball is touched in fair ground, it's a fair ball, even if it rolls foul. You made the call thanks to Intellivision.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by on ABC's coverage of Game 5 of the American League Championship Series, the California Angels and the Milwaukee Brewers in a do-or-die effort. We are having technical problems on today's live telecast from County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. ABC technicians are on the job trying to correct our difficulties, and will continue when that is accomplished. We regret the inconvenience. At the time of interrupt, the
Little Tapper back to the mound on a check swing as Brian Downing is retired to lead off the top of the 7th inning. We understand we have power loss here or something that's caused the loss of the picture anyway, and audio for a moment. But Brian Downing leading off for California in the top of the 7th inning. Taps it back to the pitcher, Vuckovich, for the first out of the inning as Vuckie threw him out. California's leading the ball game by a score of 3-2. Here is Rod Carew at the plate now. He's been on base once today, having been walked by Vuckovich, and Pete comes inside to him for ball 1. Misses, and Carew for the second time in the ball game is walked by Pete Vuckovich. 1 down, and Reggie Jackson now will come to the plate. And Harvey Keene now is on his way out of the dugout, walking to the mound. And it could well be that Pete Vuckovich has had it. With Reggie Jackson coming to the plate, Bob McClure, a left-hander, has been warming up in the bullpen along with Jim Slayton. Lefty Bob McClure has been summoned out of the bullpen by the Milwaukee manager Harvey Keene, principally to face left-handed swinging Reggie Jackson.
I think what they're trying to do here is stay away from the long ball. McClure being left-handed, Reggie being left-handed, you take, I guess you kind of somewhat erase the chances of adding another 2 runs to the Angels' score.
Rod Carew, having been walked by Vuckovich, is on first base. And the pitch to Jackson. Ground ball. Over to Gantner, 1. Over to Yount. Double play. So McClure comes in and certainly does his job as he throws 1 pitch up there. Jackson bounces it sharply into a double play. Gantner had a little trouble getting out of his glove over to Yount, but he was able to do it quick enough. And so it's 3-2 California. Middle of the 7th. Back with more after this word from our local station.
More tower. More power. More Brewer baseball.
Now we will go with the Milwaukee Brewers and Don Money, Charlie Moore, Jim Gantner to the bottom of the 7th inning in a 3-2 ball game. California leading. Luis Sanchez in relief of Bruce Kison. The winner of this one wins the American League pennant and goes to the World Series, and neither one of these teams has ever been to the World Series. Pretty good pitch, just missed.
And now is when the crowd comes in to focus with the loud cheering. It could start the adrenaline flowing in the Milwaukee players.
Right down the line. Just foul. A 2-2 count on Don Money. Popped him up. First baseman Carew comes in and makes the catch. Right at the pitcher's mound. One down. Charlie Moore, who has had one of the big plays of the ball game defensively for Milwaukee. He is hitless at the plate.
Looking back on that, it certainly is a big play, and it avoided a big inning.
Very dark and gray and threatening now, as Sanchez is high and tight to Charlie Moore.
I don't think that Sanchez is pitching with any pattern. I think he's just throwing hard, trying to get it over the plate. What do you think, Jim?
Well, he's got a good live fastball. The only pitches that he seems to throw consistently are the sliders away, and there's a jam shot, a ball in on Moore's fist. I don't believe he caught the ball.
I don't believe he caught the ball.
No, Don Denkinger, the plate umpire, says no, he didn't. Al Clark, the first baseman, who was shielded away from it a little bit, but the third base umpire, Bill Kunkel, could see from where he was, and Don Denkinger, the plate umpire, could see from where he was that he did not catch the ball. The first base umpire could not.
Well, if this keeps up, we're liable to see one umpire throw another umpire out the gate.
It's a base hit for Moore. Boy, that is true no man's land right there.
They won't be throwing each other out of the game, but I would like to point out that again they got the play right, and that's the important thing. There's a man on first base now, and Milwaukee has the winning run at the plate.
Or the go-ahead, at least here in the bottom of the 7th. The tying run in Charlie Moore out there at first base. Jim Gantner, the hitter.
The manager stayed out of the argument. Strictly, the argument was between the umpires.
The Charlie Moore family watching as it goes up the middle. Base hit for Gantner. Charlie Moore turns second and stops right there as Fred Lynn is in a hurry. Back-to-back singles now. One kind of different from Charlie Moore, but that was a line shot from Gantner.
Oh, it was a fastball in the middle of the plate, and Gantner tries to hit the ball up the middle, and you'll see the fastball outside middle. Hits it right back at Luis Sanchez, who gets down. One of the first things they teach you in the minor leagues. Duck if you can't catch it.
You'd have caught that ball.
The sensei comes in from third to visit with Sanchez. The tying run now with one out is at second base in Charlie Moore. Go-ahead runs Gantner at first base. The batter at the top of the order, Paul Molitor. And Hassler throwing in the California bullpen along with Renko. Bottom of the 7th. Molitor swings and fouls it off, and that one bit Don Denkinger, the home plate umpire, who's had a rough day back there. There's the bullpen. Left-hander Hassler, right-hander Renko.
Here you see the high fastball right off the umpire's mask. He's had a tough day. First Simmons threw his mask at him.
And he's had to overrule twice. That pitch is high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike, and the crowd standing and roaring on every pitch now. Harry Warner comes out of the box at third. Molitor looks at him. He doubled to lead the game and scored the first run for Milwaukee. Popped him up, coming back. Bob Boone coming back. DeCince's there. It's Boone for the catch. And 2 down. Now an opportunity for Robin Yount. Base hit will tie the ball game. Jim Gantner at first base has speed. An extra base hit, Milwaukee could go ahead. Yount today has rolled a second, been aboard on the fielder's choice, and walked. He does not have a run batted in the championship series. Strike.
He looks like he's just firing the ball right for the center of the plate and letting it go wherever it goes.
Outside, ball 1, strike 1. The count on Yount. Charlie Moore at second. Jimmy Gantner at first. 1-1 to Yount. Inside, 2-1. Angels 3, Brewers 2, bottom of the 7th, tying run, second base. Cecil Cooper, who had an opportunity earlier with people on base, is waiting again in the on-deck circle. The left-handed hitter. Off the hands, foul back out of play. Robin Yount's grandmother sitting watching. Some anxiety on her face, too. You've got a conference on the mound with Boone and Carew talking to Sanchez and Denkinger, the plate umpire, now going out and say, hey, let's play ball, guys. Ron Hansen, first base coach, talking with Gantner.
Any idea what they might be talking about at this point?
Well, it seems every time that Sanchez throws a pitch and it's not in the proper area, he just threw a high slider that Yount fouled off. Rodney gets concerned, and of course Boone has gone out there twice, mainly because I think that maybe they're not communicating very well, and I think in this particular case they want to be sure what's going on.
Rod Carew's coming in to help too with the English-Spanish problem that might well exist here.
Well, Rodney being Panamanian.
2-2 pitch. Yount fouls it off. Fought off a pretty good pitch that time.
Well, he does. Sanchez just has a fastball that is so live that, as Earl has said, going back to the variable chance deviation theory we sprung on you a couple of days ago, he throws the ball for the middle of the plate. Sometimes it's going to sail. Sometimes it's going to run in on the right-handers, away from the left-handers. He's just got good natural stuff.
2-2 pitch. Yount again fouls it away. Sanchez from Venezuela. Of course, Rod Carew, being a native Panamanian, having moved to New York when he was a boy, speaks the language. You better be communicating with one another or you're going to get in trouble.
That's true.
2-2, 2 out, 2 on, 3-2 California. High, ball 3.
Excitement.
Michelle Yount. A prayerful attitude, I would think. Runners go. Inside, ball 4.
The go-ahead run is now at second base.
Tying run is at third. And once again, Cecil Cooper comes to the plate with opportunity staring him in the face. There are your base runners. Back in the 5th inning.
And here you see the 3-2 pitch. It's a high slider. Just hangs inside for ball 4.
Back in the 5th inning, Cecil Cooper had Molitor at second base after Yount had walked. And couldn't get him home. Struck out swinging for the 3rd out. Now the bases are loaded with 2 out. And that's fouled sharply. Hit it right off the end of the bat and shot it on the ground, bouncing up into the stands. There's the tying run, Charlie Moore. The go-ahead run, Gantner. And Yount at first. Just outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
This is very hard to do, but Cecil Cooper has to remain patient in this situation and try to get a strike to hit. He can tie this ball game up with ball 4 if he can work the pitcher to that. And being patient, you want to get a good pitch to hit, or if they're going to let you walk to first, do it.
Left field, base hit. Tying run. Moores comes to score. Gantner on his way to the plate. Throw through. Brewers lead.
You just can't keep giving Cecil Cooper opportunities to beat you, because he will beat you.
A fastball up on the outside part of the plate. Cooper just goes right with it. And you'll see Downing charge the ball, trying to keep the winning run or the go-ahead run from scoring, and the throw's just off a little bit.
Now watch the man who delivered the big base hit, Cecil Cooper. Oh, yeah, he's happy.
Very much so.
And the Milwaukee Brewers have taken the lead 4-3, and Gene Mauch is on his way to the mound with a hook.
He's got a switch hitter at the plate.
And a tough one in Ted Simmons.
A very tough one.
Kison tired, plus a sore middle finger on his pitching hand, came out after 5. And when he left, it was 3-2 California. Sanchez came in and got him in order in the 6th, but has not been able to do it in the 7th. And Andy Hassler is called in from the bullpen. 4-3 Milwaukee. Back after this word and a message on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Fever. Catch it. It lasts forever.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Hardly necessary to point out, delirium reigns at County Stadium in Milwaukee. A crowd of 54,968 thundering their appreciation as Andy Hassler comes on to pitch in relief of Luis Sanchez, who had relieved Bruce Kison. So he is the 3rd California pitcher, making his 2nd appearance of the series. Milwaukee getting the lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning, 4-3. You have 2 out. Cecil Cooper delivered the big base hit. Robin Yount now, who had walked, is at second base. And the batter is Ted Simmons, hitting from the right side against the left-hander Hassler.
A little more power from this side. Just about the same average. If anybody watched the playoff last Sunday, kind of did us in with a home run late in the ball game on a curveball.
And he jerks that one foul down the left side.
It was the 8th inning that they really pulled away from us. They've gone ahead in the 7th inning here.
Strike. Simmons tried to check, it appeared. Went too far. And so, Andy Hassler out in front, 0-2. And that pitch is low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 pitch to Simmons. Struck him out on, snapped it off inside on the hands, and Ted couldn't get it. And so the Milwaukee Brewers are out of there, but they score 2 and take the lead after 7 innings of play over the California Angels, 4-3.
The Brewers with the bases loaded and 2 out in the bottom of the 7th. California clinging to a 3-2 lead. Line to left field. Base hit. The game is tied. Here comes Jim Gander to the plate. The throw to the plate. Safe.
Coming to the plate to lead off for California will be this man, Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn, who has had a roaring playoff series. He has 3 singles today, which means he has 11 hits in 17 trips to the plate. And he will lead off. Earlier today, I talked with Fred Lynn about this championship game. The old pressure cooker. You've been there so many times. Is it any different today than it has been before for you?
No, not really, Keith. We haven't done anything easy this year, this ball club. We could have eliminated KC early in KC, and yet we waited till the second to last day of the season to do it. We haven't gotten any help from anybody yet this season, and we had to do it ourselves on key games, and we've been up to the task, but yet so have the Brewers. So I would say this game is going to boil down to who's going to score first and who's going to get that big inning.
As a youngster, when you came to the major leagues, you stepped right into big ball games. As the years have gone by, you've had a succession of big ball games. You're a mature senior member of the American League and a true, genuine star in the American League. Going into today's game, can you contrast your feelings today versus that very first year?
Boy, that's a tough question. Every game is pretty much individualistic. Those games my first year, everything happened so fast to me that first season that it's really become a blur to me. Right now, this is probably the biggest game that I've played in up to date. It has more importance fixed to it than any game that I can think of other than the 6th game of the World Series in 1975.
The wind can at times. Oh, Freddie walks to the plate now. To lead off in the top of the 8th inning with his ball club down by a run, and Marshall Edwards, a flyer, has gone to center field, replacing the game-legged Gorman Thomas.
It has to be a real good move.
And there you see the sharp breaking ball that Bob McClure has, similar to the pitch that he threw Reggie for the double play to end the last inning.
McClure goes just outside. Vuckovich, 6 in the 3rd innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, and incredibly all of them earned despite 4 Milwaukee errors. And McClure relieving in the 7th and got the double play ball. And he has the edge on Fred Lynn now as he takes him inside, 1-2. Don Baylor is waiting on deck. Doug DeCinces will follow. Any one of these 3 scheduled hitters can take it out. Lynn risks the ball out into left field. The wind carries it out to Ben Ogilvie. 1 out. Just risking the ball out to the left fielder Ogilvie. First inning, Downing double, Lynn single. Angels led it 1-0. 3rd inning, another run. Boone single, Downing sacrifice, Lynn single. 4th inning, another run. DeCinces double, Grit sacrifice, Boone squeeze for a bunt single. Brewer scoring, Molitor double. Simmons sacrifice fly. Ogilvie home run in the 4th for the Brewers. Moore and Gentner singles. Gianna walk Cooper, a 2-run single. That's the scoring summary on the ball game as Baylor swings and misses at a pitch in on the hand.
McClure's going to have to put the ball in good spots to the next 3 hitters because, as you pointed out, they all can go downtown.
Baylor hits it to left. Wind helps it out there. Marshall Edwards to the wall. Jumps, makes the catch. Gorman Thomas is in center field. That's off the wall for extra bases.
I have to believe that the way Gorman was limping today, and they got him out there just at the right time. Now, ordinarily, they'd never replace Gorman with another defensive player because Gorman himself is an outstanding center fielder. But today with the injury, it's questionable whether he would have gotten there or not.
I don't see how he could possibly have dragged that sore leg that far, because Edwards is a speedster. He can really run, and he gave it a long run and goes right up and then hits the wall hard. So Marshall Edwards comes out of the shadows and makes a big play, as Brohard did yesterday. With 2 out, here is Doug DeCinces. And he shoots it to right field for a base hit, going toward the corner. Takes a big turn, and Charlie Moore whips it back in. Tying run for the Angels now on first base with 2 out.
DeCinces went right with the pitch on the outside half of the plate. Again, it was up, and Doug's a very good high ball hitter.
Cecil Cooper on the right side, and obviously Molitor on the left side. As you get into this point, sitting on a 1-run lead, you are protecting the lines. Coop might have had a chance at that had he been playing his normal position at first base. McClure goes outside the Grits for ball 1.
This is a Bobby, excuse me, Keith, but this is a Bobby Grits situation. Of all the players, the 2 of the most intensity that I've ever played with were Frank Robinson and Bobby Grits.
Change is high. 2 balls and no strikes.
Bobby's always had patience at home plate and tries to get that good pitch to hit.
DeCinces off first. Rich hits the ball in the air to center field. Edwards backs up on it, hit it well, and makes the catch. So Marshall Edwards put into the ball game for defensive purposes in relief of Gorman Thomason. Made 2 putouts in the inning, one of them a big one, and Milwaukee holds on 4-3.
1 out in the top of the 8th. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here is the pitch. There's a long drive to left. He got a fastball inside. Back goes Edwards to the wall. Leaps and makes the catch.
Ben Ogilvie, Marshall Edwards, and Don Money for the Milwaukee Brewers. Bottom of the 8th inning. California with 1 more turn at the plate. And it'll be Foley, Boone, and Downing scheduled. And put scheduled in quotes, because it might change. Andy Hassler delivers to Ogilvie. Ben hits it in the air to right center. Coming in, Fred Lynn. 1 out. Edwards will get an ovation. He hasn't swung a bat in this championship series, but he made a huge defensive play. This one, the ball going to the wall. Off the bat of Don Baylor, and Marshall Edwards pulled it down. So he has contributed mightily. Andy Hassler, low and away to Edwards for ball 1.
Marshall Edwards has an unusual. I was watching him take batting practice. He splits his hands, kind of like Pete Ward used to do. He used to play for the White Sox. I've seen too many hitters do that.
Chopped at that one and missed it.
Ty Cobb hit like that, and I don't believe there was another one until Pete Ward did it.
Tommy John has now joined Steve Renko in the California bullpen. Yesterday's starting pitcher. That's fouled off. It's staff day now. Staff time. Because this is the championship game. The American League season is done for the loser. Decks him. Ball rolls back to Hassler, and Hassler throws him out. The pitch was high and tight. Edwards pulling out of the way of it. The ball hit the bat, rolled back to the pitcher. You've got 2 out.
Looked to me like the ball was going to hit him if it didn't hit the bat. No, he started his swing just a little bit inside.
Now, Don Money. As you see the finish of the play. To retire Edwards in the 2nd out. Money quiet today. but always dangerous.
I think he'll have some good swings in this situation.
High ball, center field. Fred Lynn makes the catch. Andy Hassler does his job. He gets Milwaukee in order. So the Angels have one turn left in the top of the 9th inning, trailing 4-3. Back after this message and a word from our local station.
Harry Dalton and the organization put together quite an amazing team back then, and we had quite a cast of characters. But when you put us all together, we could really play. We knew how to have fun, and we knew how to win. In 1982, we waited until the last day of the season to win the division, and then, of course, falling behind the Angels 0-2 before coming back, and the Brewers finally had themselves their first World Series. I'll always remember late in Game 5 of the playoffs, Cecil Cooper had a big hit. He drove in Jimmy Gantner and Charlie Moore, and an inning later, Rodney hit a ball to Robin at short, and he threw over to Cecil, and County Stadium just went ballistic. I think it was the loudest I ever heard that place.
We know that Ron Jackson is going to come up and hit for Tim Foley. Ron Jackson hits with some power. Bob Boone is scheduled behind him, and you can see against Bob McClure, Ron Jackson has done very well. It's his first appearance in the 1982 Championship Series. He hit very well during the time that it was used in the regular season.
You've got a good ball club when you can have a Ron Jackson come off the bench late.
McClure now trying to slam the door on California here in the top of the 9th and win the ball game. That is Audrey Keene, the manager Harvey Keene's wife, and Jody McClure, and immediately Ron Jackson on the first pitch drills it to center field. And so here at the top of the 9th inning, the Angels have the tying run on first base. And Bob Boone will hit as Ted Simmons goes to the mound, and Harvey Keene comes out of the dugout. And that could be it for Bob McClure. Mike Caldwell has been in the pen. Peter Ladd has been in the bullpen. Bob Boone is standing at the plate holding a bat. It would, I would think, be Ladd, because he's been impressive in 2 appearances in this series.
And it's also a bunt situation. Boone, who had 23 sacrifices during the season, it's a little bit harder to bunt off a high ball pitcher. In a bunting situation, you want to throw the ball up in the strike zone, hoping that you can get the pop fly and keep the runner from advancing.
So we've had the call for the new pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. And it looks like they're going to take this one to the very last out. Coming in relief for Milwaukee, the 3rd Brewer pitcher, Peter Ladd, making his 3rd appearance in the series. They call him Bigfoot. He wears a size 15 shoe. He stands big, square, and he, as we have already seen, can be very tough.
Well, he's got an excellent fastball, a good hard slider that he showed on Friday. He struck out the side in his first appearance, even though it was a non-pressure situation. Then in a pressure situation in the 5-3 win, got him out when he had to, and also has a kind of a blooper pitch.
Ron Jackson hitting for Tim Foley. Drilled a single on the first pitch, getting McClure out of the game. Jackson now is taken off the bases, and going in to run for him is Rob Wilfong. More speed. Bobby Canup, first base coach, talking to him. Rob going to loosen up a little bit, run down the right field line. Preston Gomez, third base coach, waiting, hoping to wave somebody around that corner for California. Peter Ladd coming in now. Bob Boone is scheduled to come up with Brian Downing to follow. Nobody out, and Boone is going to come up. Ron Jackson came to the plate and popped, single to center. Vic Kelleher would be the man probably to go to shortstop if we have to go farther than the top of the 9th inning. Milwaukee is leading in the ball game 4-3. A crowd of 54,968 watching today The series has drawn 248,691, and that is a record, an all-time record for either championship series.
Amazing, and baseball fans are wonderful.
All right, with Wilfong on first base, and we'll show you that because that's what we think he's going to do right here, is get that tying run down to second base. Squares, puts it down. Ladd fields it, underhand at first base, and they get the out as Wilfong goes to second. Sacrifice for Boone, and Bob made it look so easy.
He went after the one sure. I thought he might have had a play at second base, Jim.
And here you see Bob, he squares around at the last moment. He gets the bat out in front of the ball, and that's what you have to do in the bunt situation. You don't want to get the bat behind home plate because then the ball has a tendency to bounce off the plate. Just get it out and be nice and relaxed. And as Keith told you, 23 sacrifices on the year. A very adept bunter.
Excellent bunt.
Brian Downey. This big, thick-necked youngster out on the mound, trying to get him. The tying run, Rob Wilfong at second base, top of the ninth inning. And Peter Ladd is high, inside for ball one to Downey. The baseballs are flying around in both bullpens. Outside corner, 1-1.
Well, you can forget about hitting that pitch because that pitch is unhittable. If he can make similar pitches, Downing's going to have a tough job getting the runner in from second base.
Should he get this man out, there'll be a big decision to make. Whether to let him stay in and pitch to Carew. I think they have Caldwell loose in the bullpen. And it's all up to Harvey Keene.
Wilfong off second. 1-1 to Downing. Fouled at the plate. 1-2.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that...
Oh, the Earl Weaver's as nervous as anybody in the ballpark. Relax, Skipper.
They used to tell me that in the dugout, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's been a great ball game. It's been a great series.
Well, this is what baseball's all about. There's so many times during the season where you rely on your short man like Peter Ladd to come in and do the job, and you have to wait and see if he does it.
The third baseman, Molitor. His throw is on the money. 2 down. Neither one of these teams ever participated in the World Series. The winner of this one will. And the Milwaukee Brewers are just 1 out away. And that 1 out is named Rod Carew.
Well, here's a man that's hit over 314 years in a row. And we've always said on the bench that it seems like he can get a hit anytime he wants to.
And they're going to let Peter Ladd pitch to him.
Well, that's why I retired, to get away from those type of decisions.
Carew hitting left-handed against the right-hander Ladd. The tying run edging off second base and Rob Wilfong. Fouled away. Strike 1.
What a man to have to pitch to.
Gene Autry reflecting a passive attitude externally.
This is normally when Rodney hits the ground ball up the middle. Just a nice 3 or 4 hopper.
Ball 1, just missed.
And you turn around, you wonder why it couldn't have been hit at somebody.
That's Audrey King. 1-1. Foul down the right side. It's 1-2. They need 1 out to go to the World Series.
1 pitch. Gene Mauch. he couldn't have a better man up than Rodney Carew.
I think I'd take Freddie Lynn.
Way he's going.
You're right again in this series.
1-2. The shortstop, Yount. Milwaukee has won it. The players may not survive the crush as the crowd is overrunning the field. The ball players will have to fight their way to the clubhouse as the Milwaukee baseball fans, who have not had this kind of a day since the Milwaukee Braves played here back in the 60s.
And my wife is in the booth with Bud Selig, and I'm really glad that Milwaukee won because Bud, I know, was as nervous as anybody in the world.
The Brewers still have not been able to reach the dugout. Struggling through this enormous outpouring of appreciative fans who have come swarming onto the field. But the Milwaukee Brewers have won their first American League pennant, defeating the California Angels in the final game of the championship series 4-3. McClure will win it. Ladd will get the save. And Luis Sanchez will take the loss. The line score in the ball game. And tonight at 8 o'clock here on ABC, we invite you to join Al Michaels, Howard Cosell, and Tom Lasorda, the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, as they bring you Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. It's Ted Simmons on the right, Moose Haas on the left. Tired, Sal Bando. But I think the story of this franchise, as much as anything, is reflected in the number of people out on the field. It's not an angry crowd. It's not really an unruly crowd. We did have an instance, a couple of instances of fan interference, but they've been a very generous and well-behaved baseball crowd. Now, let's go to Bob Uecker, the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers on radio, and standing with Cecil Cooper in the clubhouse. Bobby?
Well, here's the man of the hour right now. His dramatic two-out, two-run single providing the winning margin as the Brewers came from behind today. And Cooper, I know you've had some big days, Cecil, but never any bigger than this.
No, Bobby, this is the biggest. They shut us out in the middle of our lineup pretty much the entire series, but today we managed to scrape for 4 runs and come out on top, and this is it.
Well, we talked earlier, Coop, too, about the fact that the Brewers had come off such a tough series, that Baltimore-Boston series, then going into Anaheim and losing 2, and today becoming for the first time the first club in American League's championship series history to come 2 games behind and win it all.
It's great, Bobby. I tell you, we had our backs to the wall over in Baltimore, and we came back and won that final game, and then we go to California, and they shut us down for 2 ball games, but we came back, and we battled back.
Coop, nice going. Where's Harvey Keene? Here he is, right here.
What's that, Bobby?
Harvey Keene, the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. And Harvey, words can't explain your feelings right now. You've overcome so much adversity, health problems, but it's all worth it, I guess, right now.
It certainly is, Bobby. The greatest day of my life. Just the greatest. I can't explain it any better than that. These guys just did one super job. They fought back as they did all year, and they did it again today.
Arv, the victory coming against your former manager. As a matter of fact, the last manager that you played for in the major leagues, Gene Mauch. He came close in 1964. He comes close again here in 1982, but you won it.
Yes, we did, and of course, Gene's an outstanding manager. He's a great baseball man, and I can't express some more words for Gene. I feel sorry for him, but I'm just happier than hell for this whole bunch of guys.
Harvey, this was such a tough-fought series. Both ball clubs, we had talked earlier in the series about it possibly being a very high-scoring series, but with the exception of games 1 and 4, it really didn't turn out that way.
No, it didn't. It was really a pitcher series, so to speak, Bob, and we got outstanding pitching today. Vuckovich pitched just an outstanding game, and Bobby McClure came in, got a double play ball, and then came back out and pitched great. And Peter Ladd, unsung hero, but boy, he certainly is some big man in this town tonight.
Harvey, Peter Ladd, talking about him. Here's a man that was a late-season acquisition by your club, coming from Houston to Vancouver, and then here in Milwaukee, and he was a very key factor, not only today, but in this series.
Well, yes, he was. He pitched outstanding in this series, Bob. We got him. They said he could pitch. He was a great relief pitcher, and he certainly has proven that.
That's our report as of right now from the Happy Brewer Clubhouse. We'll be coming right back here. Now let's go over to Ted Dawson in the Angels Clubhouse.
Thank you very much, Bob. I'm here with Fred Lynn. Fred, I know it's not much consolation to you, but you have been named the most valuable player of the series.
You're right. It's not much consolation. We had to get these guys early. We let them off the ropes, and they're too good a ball club for us to do that.
Freddie, how did a club come to win 3 straight games off of you? Looking back over the games, was it just good hitting? Was it mistakes? What?
Well, we let them have a couple innings where they didn't have to earn their runs, really. They had 2 big innings against us in for each of the first 2 games here, and they took advantage of every mistake that we made. I don't think they hit like the Brewer team that they were during the season, but they got timely hits.
Freddie, congratulations on you individually. I'm sorry for the Angels as a team, but congratulations to you. Now let's go back to Bob Uecker and the man who did such an outstanding job in saving several ball games in this series. Bob?
All right, Ted, thank you very much. And again, one of the men of the hour here in Milwaukee, a very, very happy Peter Ladd. And Peter, I've got to ask you this. When you first arrived in the first few games you pitched in some heavy pressure and gave up some big home runs, and the heat was on you in this series.
Definitely, but I put all that behind because in the playoffs you have to have everything going for you. You can't think about the past. That's what I did. I blocked everything out of my mind, said I want the ball, and let me pitch.
In that first game at Anaheim, Pete, coming in the 7th inning, you struck out 3. It didn't look like an easy task, but it turned into that for you.
I'm just grateful that I got an opportunity to pitch in that game. I got my feet wet, and I was ready from there on.
And the series here in Milwaukee?
This is tremendous. I'm out of breath, but I'll tell you, nobody said that we could come back and win 3 in a row. It's never been done before. Well, we just proved it, and we're going to bring a championship home here in Milwaukee.
That's it from the clubhouse. Back upstairs to Keith Jackson.
All right, Bob, thank you. Stand by. Don't get too wet with all that champagne flowing. We'll be coming down to see you again in a few moments. Remember, tonight, National League Championship Series, Game 3 from Atlanta. The St. Louis Cardinals leading the Atlanta Braves 2-0. They are celebrating in Milwaukee, and we'll be right back. The crowd remains in celebration on the field at County Stadium in Milwaukee after the Brewers have defeated the California Angels 4-3 for the 1982 American League pennant. It is a happy clubhouse. And let's go back to Bob Uecker.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. And here are 2 oh, wow. Here are 2 key members of this Brewer Ball Club. Keith, Robin Yount, the shortstop, and although he won't admit it, one of the leading candidates for the MVP award. And on the other side, Paul Molitor, making a first-year switch to third base. And Paulie, although a lot of criticism early in the year, and you know it very well about your play at third base, it's turned into a very wonderful situation for you in this club.
There's no doubt about it. It's just today's victory is just so emblematic, whatever you want to say, of our entire season. With our backs to the wall, we're able to bounce back one more time and show the character that this ball club has. We just got to humble ourselves and be thankful for everything that we have and just take it right into the series.
Paulie, as we talk, well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about Robin Yount here because as of right now, they are showing a picture of the lovely young Michelle Yount. And Robin, of course, I know for your wife and your family, it's a very happy day for you. It's hard to imagine, Robin, you, the so-called veteran of this ball club at 27 in your 9th year in the Major League.
Well, I feel like I'm hardly the veteran on this team. We've got a lot of guys that are bona fide veterans that have been doing it year in and year out, just with very solid years. And I think we look to those guys for leadership, as Simmons, Sutton, Vuckovich, those type guys. So I don't really consider myself a leader.
Robin, let's talk about that final game in Baltimore and the pressure, comparing the 2 games in Baltimore and today.
Well, they were as equal as of pressure-filled games as I think you could imagine. They were right down to the last out. I mean, your heart's just going a million miles an hour, and we just thank God that everything went our way.
Robin, what about Bruce Kison today? He got the victory in Game 2 in California, beating Pete Vuckovich by a score of 4-2. Let's talk about him today and his stuff today.
Well, he pitched pretty good again, you know. We didn't get a whole lot of hits off him. We didn't score that many runs, but Vucki was himself again. He gives up a lot of hits, but he doesn't give up runs, and that's a sign of a real competitor. And I think they both pitched great games, and, you know, it was just a great win for us.
Robin, trailing 2-0, coming back here to Milwaukee, and that whole series on the road, and I guess especially in Baltimore because the crowds were huge, the hollering loud, but coming back here to County Stadium, it was the same, only for the Brewers.
It was definitely the same. These people were absolutely crazy out there today, the last 3 days. They were so loud, you couldn't even hear yourself think. It was unbelievable. And it sure is nice when they're cheering for you and not against us.
Robin, let's talk about the World Series. The Brewers, for the first time ever in a World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves will play tonight, and a Cardinal victory would be a sweep for St. Louis. Any preference as far as yourself goes?
I don't have any preference. I'll tell you, I'm so happy to be there. It's unbelievable, and we haven't played really either one of the teams. We had one brief game with Atlanta, and we don't know a whole lot about either one, so we're just going to go there and play the hard ball that we can and see what happens then.
All right, that's Robin Yao down here, a very, very happy Brewer clubhouse, as you can well imagine. Now let's go back upstairs to Keith Jackson. We'll be back with more.
All right, Bob, I think you saw a moment ago where they moved the crowd back away from the Milwaukee dugout, made a little room, and many of the team members came out and acknowledged the cheers of the crowd. And there was really no great effort to get into them, to be unruly about it. There aren't very many places I think you could see that take place. The line score in the ball game, Milwaukee getting the 2 big runs at the bottom of the 7th inning on a single by Cecil Cooper, whose bat had been very quiet. And they made it stand up as McClure came in, and then Peter Ladd finally shut the door, with McClure getting the win, Sanchez the loss, Ladd the save, and the home run in the ball game came from the bat of Ben Ogilvy, whose bat had also been very quiet. All right, Ben Ogilvy is now with Bob Uecker, so let's return to the clubhouse.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. And here he is, Ben Ogilvy. And Benji, not an opportunity to play in yesterday's game. You were injured in Game 1 here on that catch, or trying to make the catch, on the ball hit by Lynn in the left field corner. Suffered badly bruised ribs, and from all indications today, you were still hurting and hurting badly, but I guess that's all forgotten now.
Well, it's all forgotten, Uke. I think the important thing is that we won. I got an opportunity to get a home run, a key hit, bring us back in the ball game, and, you know, give Cecil the opportunity to come back and eventually win the game.
Benji, let me ask you a question. I know you're hurting. Your ribs are hurting you badly. It may have bothered your fielding also. The pitch you hit for a home run appeared to be an off-speed pitch, and with the ribs hurting the way they were, was it easier to handle an off-speed pitch or something hard?
Without a doubt. You know, I got a fastball the first pitch, and I said, well, I'm going to look for a change up here, and geez, here it comes. And I took all the chance, all the opportunity in the world, and I, you know, took advantage of it.
Ben, congratulations. Big year for the Brewers, their first time ever in a World Series, and I guess your face tells everything. I don't have to ask anymore.
It's a great ball club, and it's good to be a part of it.
Ben Ogilvy, and Pete Vuckovich is right here. Pete, come on up here. Pete Vuckovich, today's starting pitcher, working on 3 days rest, and going again against Bruce Kison as he did in the second game in Anaheim. And Pete, today things turned out a little bit differently, working with 3 days rest. And I had asked you before the game how many times you had worked with 3 days rest.
I don't recall having done it this year at all, Bob. Archie asked me if I could take the ball and go get him. I said, yeah, I'd be glad to. And I was confident. I knew we were playing a great ball club, which we really were. And they certainly didn't give in at all. I mean, they kept coming at us all day long. And fortunate enough, with all the base runners I had on, we had some great defensive plays. Charlie throwing out Reggie at third base. We stayed close enough where we could snatch it late in the game, and everyone did a super job today. I mean, it was really hard fought. Bruce Kison threw the ball well again. He's so crafty this time of year, and I'm just thankful we came out on top. I've always found playing with a great ball club, and I think we proved it today.
Pete, there's a game going to get underway very shortly in about 3 minutes down in Atlanta. St. Louis Cardinals against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I'll be watching that one if I get a chance to get on the monitor and check it out, see what's going on. I'm just thankful to be there. A lot of people have asked the question, you're looking forward to playing St. Louis or what have you. I really don't give a darn, to be honest with you. I just wanted to be there, and now I'm the happiest person in the world. We're there, and that's what it's all about.
That game's coming up in about 15 minutes, I should say. Pete, let me ask you a question about Reggie Jackson. I've got to ask you this. Pressure situation, pressure game. He's been called Mr. October. He has responded each and every year in League Championship Series play, World Series play. What was on your mind today facing Reggie?
I was just trying to go at his weakness, to be honest with you, try to show him some things here and there and get to his weakness, which I really haven't done in the past against him. I haven't made any pitches at his weaknesses, and I made one key pitch today on him he struck out on, which was a ball, but he fished and he swung and missed it. But all the accolades he's had in the past is definitely earned. He is Mr. October, and he's a great tribute to baseball. On top of that, he's a Pennsylvania guy, too, like myself, which I'm a little partial to him. But you got to block those things out and just go at them. Throw the ball, do what you get paid to do, make your pitches, and try to get out of jams. And that was
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. Now let's go back over to the California Angels clubhouse and Ted Dawson with Bobby Grich.
Thank you very much, Bob. Bobby Grich involved in one of the key plays in this ballgame in the 7th inning. Charlie Moore hits a little blooper to the infield. Describe in your own words what happened.
Well, the ball jammed him, hit him in on his hands. As an infielder, you can't really tell how hard the ball is hit, right away. So you have to hesitate just momentarily until you see the depth of the distance of the ball. And I could see that it was jammed, so I tried to react as quickly as I could. And I went as hard as I could towards the ball, and I looked out of the corner of my eye, and I could see Carew wasn't going to quite get there, and I knew nobody else was, so I had to just go as hard as I possibly could. And I dove full length. And in fact, I'm not even sure if I caught the ball or not. I wasn't positive because I was out so far that my head had to go down. I couldn't keep my chin up because I was reaching out as far as I possibly could.
The first base umpire said you caught it. The third and home plate umpire said no. You don't know.
No, I came up with the ball, and I looked in my glove. It's the first place to check, right? So I checked my glove. The ball was there. And I looked around. The first umpire I picked up was the first base umpire. And he was calling out, so I raised the glove up, happy that I caught the ball. And then as I turned back around, I saw the home plate umpire, signaling no catch. And like I say, because of the fact I was out so far, I couldn't even tell.
Bobby, were you guys nervous coming into this final ball game?
No, not at all. We weren't nervous. We've got a ball club of veteran players. We were ready to play. We weren't nervous at all. We were, just looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to the ball game. We knew it was going to be an exciting game. Came up a little bit short, but nerves had nothing to do with it. We just came out and played the best ball we possibly could.
Bobby Grich, you've been playing excellent ball all season long. Congratulations on a fine year. Look forward to seeing you next year.
All right. Well, I'm just glad to be a part of baseball in America.
Bobby Grich. A reminder that we'll have, of course, the big Atlanta-St. Louis game coming up right here on ABC in about 15 minutes. But right now, let's go back to Bob Uecker in the Brewers dressing room.
All right, Ted, thank you very much. And first of all, Moose Haas on my right, the man who pitched the key game yesterday. And Moose, I've got to ask you, you had been put in the bullpen, surprised yesterday at the start or not?
Well, I was surprised when Harvey came and told me the second game in California after the loss. He came right to me and he said, Moose, you're the pitcher Saturday for Game 4. And it kind of surprised me to name because we were going with Medich the whole time in September. But that just goes to show the confidence that Harvey did have in me.
No matter how many times they talk about it being no tomorrows, there was no tomorrow for your club had they lost yesterday. And what was on your mind yesterday going against California?
Well, the only thing that was on my mind is I knew we had to win. And, I didn't feel any kind of added pressure or anything like that. I was just hoping the weather would hold off. And we didn't get too many delays. But as it did, we had some delays. And the only thing I was going to do is go out and try 100% and do the best I could. And luckily, I prevailed.
All right, and here's the man today who was put in the game late defensively for the injured Gorman Thomas and who made the big catch on the drive by Don Baylor, Marshall Edwards, and he's done it on numerous occasions this year. Marshall, I don't have to ask you how you're feeling. Your smile always tells everything, but what about the ball Baylor hit? It was hit well, and you had to go up against the wall to catch it.
Right, I thought the ball was hit well. I know Don has a lot of power, and I try to put myself in a position where if it did come down in the ballpark, I would be there to catch the ball, and just so happened the Lord put me there, and I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me a chance to know him, and it just seems things to work out, and just a lot of hard work, repetitious from the coaching that we had. I go out there each and every day, and they work with us real hard, and just so happened everything fell in place exactly the way they said it was going to happen.
Al, he's one of the happiest guys, and of course a utility outfielder, but right now we'll go back up to Keith Jackson.
All right, Bob, we'll be back down to join you in a few moments. Ripley's, believe it or not, will not be seen tonight on the East Coast as you see the line score from the ball game today. The National League Championship Series will begin in a few minutes down in Atlanta with the St. Louis Cardinals leading the Atlanta Braves 2-0. So the Braves are backed up to the brink themselves tonight. We'll be back with more from County Stadium in Milwaukee after this word from our local station. We're back here in Milwaukee as the celebration continues, as the Brewers have won the pennant, but Fred Lynn is named the most valuable player from the American League Championship Series, and he is the first ever to win the award on a losing team. He was 11 of 18 at the plate and knocked in 5 runs. I can say one thing, that whoever comes out of the National League to represent that league in the World Series, they're going to be facing a pretty good baseball team in these Milwaukee Brewers. And it would not really have mattered which of these two teams had won today. It was going to be a pretty good baseball team. So the Milwaukee Brewers are the American League champions. And right now, let's switch to Atlanta for this comment from Al Michaels.
All right, Keith, and what would a report of the National League Championship Series be without first a weather report? It has been quite gloomy here in Atlanta. We had cloud cover. Right now it's dark, and they do expect perhaps some rain. But right now it is dry. Both teams able to take batting practice and infield. Right now the pregame festivities going on as Atlanta hosts its first postseason competition since 1969, and the Braves with a most formidable task at hand, down 2-0 as Atlanta Fulton County Stadium fills up. They'll have 50,000 plus here tonight. There's the matchup. Joaquin Andujar, who pitched very well in the rain aborted game 1 on Wednesday at Busch Stadium, goes to the mound tonight, and he has had 3 days rest. And Rick Camp, who started the season in the Atlanta bullpen and then was moved into the starting rotation, he has pitched better than that would indicate. Camp with a mark of 11 and 13, and so the Braves need a win to stay alive, and the Cardinals with a victory will get set to face the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 1 of the World Series on Tuesday. Right now, let's go back to Milwaukee into the dressing room and Bob Uecker.
All right, Al, thank you very much from Atlanta, Georgia. And now the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, Harry Dalton, a man who has been very instrumental over the last couple of weeks. First with the acquisition of this man right here, Harry, who pitched the winning game in Baltimore and then came back to win the opener here. We're talking about Don Sutton.
Absolutely. Don came late, but when he came, he had the force of somebody who had been with us all season long, the impact on the ball club.
Don, I've got to ask you this. When you joined this Brewer Ball Club, I know you were happy about the fact that you were coming here and thinking that Raleigh Fingers, you talked about pitching 6, 7 innings, 8 innings. You didn't want to go the distance anymore. They said they had fingers there and they could hit with a lot of power, but that didn't turn out that way.
Well, 50% of it was right. That's all right. Bob, I thought watching from a distance that this club was going to win it all, and I thought they were going to win it whether they made any acquisitions or not. So for Harry to show the faith in me and to give up some prospects to get me to come over here, and the treatment I got from the ball club the first day, and the treatment from the city, and just the things that have been said and the feeling that I get here, and I think I've heard we believe in you more in the last 6 weeks than I had the rest of my career, and I think that any professional athlete looks for that. And the whole past year has just been a year of miracles, and I think the last 6 weeks just tops it all. And I appreciate Harry and Bud and everybody going to bat for me.
Don, the two clubs that are battling right now for the National League Championship, the Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves, one with plenty of speed, the other with plenty of power. Do you have a preference as to who wins it?
Well, maybe I will tomorrow, or maybe I will the next day. But, Bob, it's been a long time since I've been in a clubhouse this happy, and I just want to enjoy it for a while. But I'm sure that in the next 48 hours, we'll get together and decide what we're going to do. But to make so many comebacks, I think we're just going to enjoy it for a few minutes.
All right, Don Sutton, and here's a guy that played so well this year in right field for Milwaukee. He was a catcher. He asked for a chance to play in right field this spring. Asked this man right here, Harry Dalton. Charlie Moore with 13 assists and another big throw today. Charlie nailing Jackson at third.
Thank you, Bob. It's just a great thrill to even be here because, you know, just past winter I did ask to be traded, and I'm glad that Harry Dalton was hard-headed enough not to trade me and gave me a chance to earn a job in right field, and I'm just happy to be a part of all this.
All right, that's Charlie Moore. Now let's go back to Ted Dawson in the California clubhouse.
Thank you, Bob Uecker. Gene Mock, the manager of the California Angels. Your comment on the play of the Milwaukee Brewers, Gene?
Well, they were tenacious, as they always are. They got effective pitching from a man that without his best stuff. I thought Vuckovich was very good, considering the fact that he had absolutely nothing, but he knew it. He knew it. He knew he was out there on the shorts, and he did a good job with what he had. I thought we'd score more runs than we did earlier in the game, but he managed to shut us down to a certain extent.
Gene, what did you feel was the most important play of this ball game, other than, of course, Cooper's two-out single?
Well, the play that really hacked my Achilles tendon was the base on balls to Yount. If Yount gets a base hit and ties the ball game, then Andy will come on in and Hassler will come on in and face Cooper. But with the base on balls, it narrows us down to a must situation as far as strikes are concerned. And the pitcher that was out there was throwing strikes. And as good as Cooper is, he doesn't have to get a hit.
Gene, congratulations on an excellent season. Thank you for the excitement of the season. Best of luck to you in years to come.
Well, it's been a big disappointment, not for me necessarily, but to see these guys go unrewarded for how hard and how intelligently they played, that hurts.
Gene Mock, let's go back up to Keith Jackson.
All right, Ted, thanks very much. Good job in the locker room, both you and Bob Uecker. And now a closing comment from Earl Weaver and Jim Palmer.
Well, I think one of the big plays was Charlie Moore's throw, and it kept them out of a big inning. They won the game by 1 run, and it was an exciting ball game, and I certainly, for one, was happy to be able to be here and see it.
Jimmy?
I was just happy to be here, too, and I'm not sure if the better club won, but Milwaukee certainly earned it. They did come back, and gutty for pitching performance by Vuckovich. Gene Mock said it. Betts didn't have much, but he hung in there, and Cooper, I think he's probably the toughest out in the American League, and when he needed to get a hit, he did.
And a tradition is underway in the parking lots around County Stadium. Something started a long time ago, and when George Bamberger was the manager here, and it's growing, and there will be a party in Milwaukee tonight, indoors and outdoors, as you reflect back on the final out, as young Peter Ladd comes on in relief and gets the save as the Milwaukee Brewers beat the California Angels for the 1982 American League pennant 4-3. And now we invite you to stay tuned as we'll be going on down to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, where the Braves try to stay alive in their best-of-5 series with the St. Louis Cardinals. The Braves are down in that series 2-0. The Redbirds win it tonight, and they will be the opponent in the World Series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee's first trip ever to the World Series. So it was quite a week with these California Angels and the Milwaukee Brewers, and it's been fun to be part of it. The National League Championship Series will be on the air here on ABC in just a few moments at 8 Eastern Time, 7 Central, and at 5 o'clock Pacific Time, coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. Coverage of the 1982 American League Championship Series produced by Dennis Lewin, directed by Ken Fouts, our technical director Mike Blazo, associate director Paul Hutchison. The 1982 American League Championship Series has been brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to take charge of a new Chevrolet car or truck at your Chevrolet dealers now. Tomorrow on ABC World News Tonight, we'll feature a report on the practice of using stray animals as specimens for laboratory research. So we invite you to watch ABC World News Tonight tomorrow. Travel arrangements made through and promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. Well, this is Keith Jackson for Earl Weaver, for Jim Palmer, for Bob Uecker, for Ted Dawson, and for all of you who enjoyed baseball in 1982 and who enjoyed our coverage here on ABC. As the Milwaukee Brewers win the American League pennant for the very first time. They did it after being down to the California Angels 2-0. They came home and won 3 in a row. And now the Atlanta Braves, perhaps buoyed by the fact that if Milwaukee could do it, maybe so can we. Because the Atlanta Braves were defeated successively in St. Louis, a series that was rained out twice at Busch Stadium. The Atlanta Braves and the Cardinals coming up at 8. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Good night from a happy Milwaukee.